What's up, and welcome back to the channel. Let's see if you can listen in here. We're starting off this Gonzo production very well. Let's see if this works. Can we all hear me now in the chat? Hit me a 1 if you can hear me. This is what you get with this Gonzo production here. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Hit 1 if you can hear me. Just make sure we can hear everyone now. And make sure I'm heard. 111, lovely. Because I can't just see the icon that I have there. I can't hear it at all myself. On a bit of a reverb. I was going to say to you, I see Niall O'Hara and Satirical Soldier have a 1 in the chat. If anyone else could just hit 1 just to make sure that they can hear me, that'd be great. Just because I can't see my icon. I'm just going to try the icon now. This thing's a little bit slow this evening. This is what you get with these Gonzo production guys. This is not well filmed, nor is it or is it well funded. I'm looking at the icon now, and the icon's not even doing any movement whatsoever. So look, we're going to blister through the show as much as possible. But if anyone has any problems or anything like that during the show, alert me in the chat as soon as possible. That'd be great. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat now tonight and see if we can make sure that this show actually runs without a hitch. This is what you get with these things, guys, when you're doing your own show and making sure that everything goes right and something goes wrong. It's like, Gonzo production. This isn't a well-oiled machine. This isn't a well-funded machine. So this is what you get with this stream. Much appreciated to everybody in the chat, by the way. I can see it already. It's absolutely fantastic to see so many people in here on a Friday night. It's absolutely beautiful. And I have to say this, much appreciation towards the mods as well here. They're here every week. They are. Derek McManus is in there. You can see him already. I'm going to have to type out a list of the mods that I have so that I make sure that I'm giving everybody the credit that they are absolutely 100% due. And this is the thing, these people that are doing the moderation here for me, which I very much so appreciate, because over the last number of months, we've certainly seen a big increase in prawns sites for sure. Anyway, trying to give people a little bit of direction towards other website, and these mods have been absolutely on it. So I very much so appreciate that. And again, these people are stellar, absolutely stellar to be doing what they're doing, which is helping out this show and helping me keep on track with the stories that I'm reading out here, obviously, and giving you my opinion about what is happening here in the great country of Ireland and indeed in the rest of the world, and obviously telling you how things are going at this moment in time. Obviously, this week has been another week with a lot of news, and why I do these streams weekly is to kind of collect and dissect some of the more important stories, because what is happening now, more so than ever, we're seeing a massive media blitz, which is they're talking about loads of different things, trying to keep people distracted. And I mean, here's the thing. I think I said it last week on last week's stream, but Enoch Burke is now in prison over 37 days. 37 days because ultimately he didn't want to call a boy a day. My question, and it's a question I'm going to do in a video as well about Enoch Burke, because I think people need to keep highlighting it. And fair play to Fergal that's standing outside Mountjoy prison, it seems, every day to be protesting for the freedom of Enoch Burke. And the other people that have been there also, big shout out to them, that have been out there and are fighting for free speech, because in my opinion, we've seen some weird stuff happen over the last week or so in Ireland, and in particular in Donegal. We'll be talking about that today. One of the stories that I've seen coming out of there have been wild. And just when I look at what's happening there, I said to myself, what's really going on? And I was going back to the Enoch Burke situation, over 37 days that the likes of leftists are absolutely delighted that a man is sitting in there, so much so that they're actually now getting appalled by the fact he's in there. Wait for it, because he's not having to pay heating bills. This is the type of people that they are. And when you understand that and understand that these people are, in my opinion, evil, this is what you're dealing with. And a lot of people seem to be very hesitant to come to that realization that these people are evil. You have people that are out there that are very happy for him to sit in prison, ultimately because he wouldn't use an incorrect pronoun. These are the same people now that will totally turn a blind eye to memo files here in this country, actively support them, of course, as well, through Hollywood and all of the other ventures that they use. And then we'll turn a blind eye then to criminality, rampant criminality here in our own government, allegedly, speculatively, of course. Now, you've also got a bombshell that's dropped this week as well by the company beginning with P that was giving out Voldemort's. It's telling people, have the article, by the way, we never said that it stopped the transmission of it. No, you did. And not only did you say it, but all of the people that were leaders in different countries also said it. So now they are actually linked into that. So Why aren't they in jail? You know what I mean? You've got a guy that's there ultimately because he wouldn't use an incorrect pronoun. Oh my God, I can't believe it. No, it's because he broke a court order. What do you think of the Nuremberg Code and the Geneva Convention? Two things that you are happy, more than happy to break because I decided not to take something that I said, company's a bit suspect. Not only that, then this thing has a 99.9% survival rate. Think I'll be all right on the orange juice, the Barocca, and the Lemsip. And wouldn't you know it, here I am. Now, I'm not a medical practitioner, nor am I giving out medical advice here, but I tell you this, what they've done over the last couple of years is they have absolutely shook me out of the apathy that I used to have towards the medical profession and starting to look at it now very seriously as to what it is. And what it is now is just selling people stuff. You have a documentary that's been out there recently, not so much a documentary, but a drama called Dope Sick. And that actually spells out exactly what's going on now. And it only happened a number of years ago with OxyContin. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's the exact same play that's being made right now. These things happen in history and they just come back again and again and again. And I mean, you have to look no further than what's going on in the blue and yellow country, of course. They're led by a man that's of a faith there, which I talked about during the week. Kanye West has actually been talking about it as well, has absolutely red pilled so many people, which is awesome to see. But he's actually talking about a faith and saying, hey, hang on here. If these people are 2% of the population worldwide, how come they own the banks? How come they own the entertainment? How come they own every political position that is possible? How come politicians kiss the ass of this place constantly and consistently? And what is it that they're about? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're infringing on other people's lands, are they not? Allegedly, speculatively. So when you see all of this, what's actually happening is a mass awakening. Now, it is going to take time. And that's the thing. Time is on our side, but time is not on their side. That's the thing that you have to realize. As I keep saying to you, this is a 5-round title fight. This is the second round now. These people are gassed out. They don't know what to do because with the likes of social media and technology, that's why they're very much so panicked about it with mounting information coming out. That's why they have to, going back to my original point, blitz people with different stories so that you are not focused on what's happening. I mean, here's the thing. Most people now are not even talking about the fact that the DPP failed to prosecute Leo Varadkar, who was under criminal investigation. What they are talking about is Enoch Burke and saying how ridiculous this is. What they are talking about now is the invasion that is currently happening in this great country of Ireland and at the behest of our own government. Average heads are noticing this, by the way. So this is what it is. This is a battle, as I keep saying, for the normies. The lefties are going to just do what they're going to do. And to be honest with you, I've seen a lot of people commenting on it, and they're saying, well, do you know what? I actually hope you're a very solid follower of Voldemort at this stage and be as much following of Voldemort as you can. Keep up to date on whatever. I've seen a lot of people being like, maybe we are looking at this the wrong way. Anyway, my option is this anyway. I just say to people, I think it's good to have disagreements. I think it's good to disagree with people. And ultimately as well, a lot of these people that you disagree with don't want to talk to you because they know that they are foolish and they know that they are proven wrong constantly and consistently. And this is why they don't want to engage and why they use emotion. You have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of the fact that these people like to use emotion and get you roiled up. And that's what they want to do. They want you to look like the bad guy and the aggressor. But that's not happening. Now, what you're seeing as well, too, is a stronger stance coming from people that are Christians. And I'm not talking about the clergy because as far as I'm concerned, the likes of the institutions and the clergy, they're done. I mean, where's the clergy when it comes to Enoch Burke? They're up there being filmed by RTE. They're talking about what's going on in Donegal being wheeled out. I thought RTE didn't like the clergy. What's the story there? How come you're going to them for their opinions? Oh, they were a nice fella now and you know how you know yourself. Hang on here for a second. What about your parishioners? What about the people here in Ireland that couldn't have mass over the last 2 years? What about the likes of baptisms, communions, confirmations, marriages, funerals that couldn't occur or were either prevented? And you all said collectively nothing. Now, I don't know about you, but that didn't seem to happen in any other faith, but it definitely happened in that one. Now, that's not to say all priests, and that's what I always like to say. It's not to say all of everybody. And that's, again, when we're talking about that specific religion that's 2%, yet seems to hold all of the power. I'm not talking about all of those people, which some dipstick there during the week decided to message me about, oh my God, I can't believe you'd say this about the people. No. What I'm telling you about is the people that own the banks, they own the entertainment. Do you not find that to be strange? Do you also not find it to be strange the fella that's running the blue and yellow country there over there is of that religion? And then you've got the Azov regiment who are flying flags from 1930s Germany. Does that not seem weird to you? It now actually, as a result, has made me look back at 1930s, 1940s Germany and been like, I don't know what happened there now? Because you've lied so much about things that are clearly and obviously fabricated now with mobile phones. I'm like, I don't know what to believe now with you people. So that's what you've done. And this is what's happened now. You've got a mass awakening amongst people. Okay, 10 minutes in now, and I've had a bit of a spiel there. But ultimately, going back to what I was saying, Enoch Borg, 37 days plus in prison at this stage. And yet, criminality that's happening in this country, particularly white collar crime, because here's the thing, I don't give a rat's about what fellas are doing in terms of selling certain things. I don't care. I don't condone it. I don't support it. I'm not into it. But these people haven't taken my civil rights. They haven't taken my liberties. They haven't taken my freedoms. They've just done what they're doing over in their corner. Meanwhile, the Irish government, on the other hand, has impeded my civil rights, freedoms, and liberties and has taken them away for the last number of years. So much so that I actually got annoyed last night and I was like, you know what? I'm after seeing someone that I follow on Instagram. They're going over to America there, and one person seems to be denied entry into America, and they're pretty annoyed about it. So I had a look at the US website, and I said, what's going on? What's the entry requirements to America now? The entry requirements to America now is still that you have to take two of these things that clearly do not work. And I mean, I'm talking about two of them, of the other ones, not the one beginning with J. That's one. So you still have to take these things to enter America. Everybody knows they don't work. But the southern border in America is wide open and people are just going through that. So what I decided to do was I just add Rand Paul and Ron DeSantis. And I'm like, how are you doing there, lads? Irish citizen here. Very interested in going to America. And again, you know, family members that are interested in going and are currently being discriminated against still. What's the story with that? Now, again, that comes down to our government as well, because if you're in government, surely to God, you're onto them and saying, listen, Joe, you're claiming to be Irish as well, which is, you know, as I said as well too to the fella who messaged me the other day, listen, I'm very aware and very keenly aware, and I do talk about JFK and Joe there, two fellas that claim Irish descent and obviously have had, how can we say, very suspicious results in in what they ran for. I'll also say about Mike Ryan as well, who that's in the WHO. So they're three very prominent positions that have been occupied by an Irish person, and I'm like, well, that seems very weird to me, and all of this stuff is going on under their watch. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy to admit that, I'm happy to put that forward, but when it's copious amounts of people in the entertainment industry and Hollywood and banks, oh no, nothing to look at here, guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is absolutely mad. It's a clown world that you live in. So anyway, I'll jump into the chat and say hello. 40 odd people here now on a Friday night. Absolutely insane. Thanks very much to everybody that's watching. Thanks to everybody who watches on the replay as well. Very much appreciated. And thanks to everybody that listens to this Gonzo production. You heard it there from minute one. Didn't know if the sound was working or anything like that. You know yourself. You know what you're getting when you're tuning in here. Anyway, we've got Niall Harris as well, lads. How's everyone doing? Kevin McMahon says, how are you, lads? Just coming home from shopping in the north. Waiting on this chat to start. Hope you got some good deals up there. Ben Truth Uncover says, Turkey, anything other than official state-approved information is now illegal. People who spread this information will face a prison sentence for 3 years. What's interesting about Turkey, Ben Truth, is there was a fella that was trying to run against Erdogan, and he was a radical leftist and actually part of the forum. And this fella, Erdogan, was like, you're into jail, lad. And I was like, well, that's interesting. That's very interesting to see that now, because that's the movement that is currently happening as well in America, where they're going, who are you paid by? Oh, you're paid by your man there, George, are you? Yeah, listen, you're not going to be DA. You're out. You're suspended. And that's what needs to be happening now as well, even here in this country. And also, as an aside, TDs, there's been no TDs that have talked out about Enoch Borg, is there? But there was loads of them that talked out about Ibrahim Halawa and Lisa Smith, wasn't there? Loads of them. That's weird, isn't it, how they're all keeping stum, even the ones that we're fans of. So, very interesting to me, to say the very least. I've also seen as well too, Patrick Tobin now, Vein 2 now, has made some very good claims now, considering this Voldemort following. I think this is going to be very interesting, and you're going to know who the real ones are in the next, I'd say, 5 to 6 months, because the government, along with the media, who are working in lockstep, are coming out and being like, maybe we'll reintroduce restrictions again. You will not. You absolutely will not. And if the Gardaí had any sense whatsoever, they would start arresting these people immediately. They would start arresting the people that are calling these types of decisions in the likes of the media and in government. They're telling you, oh, a leaked memo got out. That is done on purpose, and it is done on purpose for you to be made feel, as Eddie Hobbs was saying, like an insider, like you've the inside track. You absolutely do not. What they are doing is testing the waters and seeing the type of reaction they're going to get from people. And people should be furious, because if you've taken 1, 2, 3, 4 of these things and you're being told, yeah, the stuff is coming back, should you not be more irate than anybody else? My answer is this: probably not, because you swallowed the brick 4 or 5 times there already. So, I mean, it's good luck to you at this stage, because you won't have a reasonable conversation with people like me. People like me go, told you. And look at all the people that are collapsing all around the place, and it's getting more difficult to hide, because they're very prominent individuals. So anyway, we'll crack on. But Erdogan, yeah, he's an interesting character anyway. And anytime the media try and point you against someone, generally, I will say that that's a person that you probably should look at and say, well, maybe they're not wrong. Like, look at what's going on at the moment. Has that all got to do with being in the one club? I think so. Because even though a couple of Yanks were mounting out at him about, taking out Vladimir out on a day, bit of Godfather parts. What was it, part two? Part two? Fredo? Yeah. So you've got a couple of them that have floated out that kind of talk, but nothing really of any sort of very serious intention. And again, the other way around, because let's just play the game. If you were the leader of a country and the leader of the other country is still causing a bit of bother, and the rest of the people are like, listen, we're not up for this here. No further comment. Anyway. So Ben Truth uncovers his global assault on free speech, folks. Absolutely. Satirical Soldiers in here says, good evening, friends. Triple H says, what's the crack, everyone? Triple H says, so he is late again. I say, a wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to. Isn't that what Gandalf said in Lord of the Rings? Anyway, I'm not saying I'm a wizard or anything like that. Do you know what? I might as well identify as a wizard now with the way things are going. Here's the thing. When these people are like, he totally can invite himself as a day, and that's what he can do. He can totally represent himself. It's not a him anymore. It's a day. Okay, so I'm the Taoiseach of Ireland then, am I? Don't be ridiculous. Well, no, you identify as the Taoiseach of Ireland. What's the story? Are the Gardaí and the army under my control now? Is that how it goes? If it does, great. So is that all I have to do? Because if we want to take this stuff seriously, if you want to play the game, let's do that. But here's the thing. If you have a horse or a dog and you get them neutered, well, it should go the other way around just for people. If you have a horse or a dog and you get them gelded or neutered, does that horse who's a stallion suddenly turn into a mare, does it? What about the dog? What about if the dog is a male dog? Does that suddenly turn into a female dog? It doesn't. True, it doesn't. So there you go. If you want to play the game with all that sort of stuff, let's play the game wholeheartedly. No, they can totally do surgeries. How much is the surgery over a lifetime? $1 million plus? And what happens? Oh, yeah. Now, because not an awful lot of people look into this, by the way, when they're talking about these things. What happens? Oh, your body tries to heal that surgery and it's rejecting it, and you have to keep getting cut up. Well, you see, what's happening is you're a human pincushion then, and they're just using it to gain money. And it's all about money. And for anyone out there that doesn't understand, now, I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but anyone that doesn't know that the government will do, in my opinion, again, allegedly, speculatively, some pretty heinous things, you ain't saying nothing yet. And I mean, the thing is, like, there's been historical evidence of that where governments are like, yeah, we've no problem doing any of these type of things. You look at what's going on in America. Every single time that something goes down in America, when they're talking about their Second Amendment, every single time now, people have clued it together with people. I have one on Gab. By the way, get on Gab. If you're not on Gab already, get on it. You got great information on there. But one person actually dialed through every single incident that has happened over the last, I think, 20 years and was like, look at all they knew and they didn't act on it. Look at the things that they were actually actively training for. And then we're like, whoops, missed that one. Well, is that not your job? If it's your job, should people not have been sacked? No. Seems not to have happened. And again, this is why this Donegal thing to me is very interesting to say at the very least. Also, as well, to a big shout out and rest in peace to Brian Mullins. I don't know whether I talked about that last week or anything like that. But in one of the articles I saw, again, stand to be corrected, no problem at all. But I do think people need to be coming out and saying what the status of these people are. But what happened was they wrote in an article after a short illness. Now, I know and you know that that's code. Anton Deck as well, too, out together at this stage now with unspecified illnesses. Very interesting to hear that because from what I understand, they are very soon ramping up I'm a Celebrity in South Africa from what I hear. And now you've already gotten Deck's brother that has passed as a priest himself suddenly. Interesting. Interesting that that's happening, isn't it? Very interesting to say the very least. Now, to be honest with you, I'm seeing a couple of different people around, in particular in the likes of my everyday life. And some people, I don't know whether you feel this, I've been talking about this with the point man, and I was like, have you seen some of these people? He's like, yeah. And I said, they look haggard and old to you. Like, you know the way I was talking about Hugh Jackman? Like The Rock, even. The Rock looked great, he did probably 2 years ago. I know people age, but millionaires, living on a different world to us. He's starting to look a bit haggard as well. I'm like, holy shit. So if anything happens to him, they'll be like, it was totally destroyed. So we're just going to just totally ignore everything from the last 2 years. And that's exactly what they're doing. They don't want to acknowledge anything. I seen a footballer here this week as well too. Enoch Mwembo, I think his name was. I think he was playing for Brighton. 24 years of age, retired, heart issue, right? Gary Cotterill, in fairness to him, straight underneath it was like, we all know what this is. And the media came out and they were like, it's a hereditary condition. Sure, you said that after the fact. I don't think the guy said it himself, but here's the thing. You can absolutely attribute that to being a hereditary thing. But at 24 years of age, does that not seem strange to you? It certainly seems strange to me. But like I said, it's everything else but that from the last year or two. And that's just to keep the sheep basically pacified. That's what that's about. So keep telling people, like, here's you hear about that 24-year-old there? Man had to retire from football. That's weird, isn't it? That's about a year away from what happened with Sergio Aguero. Same sort of thing. Christian Eriksen as well. That's odd, isn't it? What about Vittoria Campo and her brother? What about the couple of rugby players and cyclists and stuff like that? Ray Liotta, Bob Saget, Gilbert Gottfried. What about these people? Shane Warne. How about that? What about the 18 Gaelic members now since the start of the year? I think it's gone up to 20 now at this stage, because we'll talk about one other individual tonight. How about that? How come these things have happened? And how come it's just been swept under the carpet? Weird, isn't it? Anyway, we'll jump in to the chat and see that. Triple H says, I've seen there was a protest in Dublin today against Irish Water. Good. They need to be dismantled. If I was Taoiseach tomorrow, that's what I would do. I'd be like, dismantle Irish Water, implement a deportation force. And when I say force, it's about to immigration control, I would suppose you would call it. I would also make sure then that the people who have been involved in the last 2 years were arrested and they were put on trial. I would probably look very seriously at the judiciary in the country. And that's only the beginning. And then from there on out, I would ban the Green Party. Absolutely. Unequivocally would ban the Green Party. So you might think that that's a bit extreme, but these people are fairly happy to look at you and hear about you freezing. They do not have any care nor concern about you whatsoever. They think that more taxes are going to fix the weather. Well, I tell you what, you're superfluous and you're not needed. You are a luxury, in my opinion, to be talking about absolute spoof that you don't even follow yourself. Because I thought it was interesting with the media as well. They wanted to talk about Eamon Ryan's mother. Very limited coverage about her funeral, wasn't there? Strange, isn't it? It's almost like that if you had been camped out there and had been hanging around, perhaps maybe you would have seen a couple of things that these people were using. Not bicycles and wicker baskets or anything like that, but probably top of the range cars, materials, and all of the other sort of stuff there that they don't want you to see. Know what I'm saying? Derek Man says, remember folks to @Ninja Knight in the chat if you have a question or a point. Much appreciated on that one. Satirical Soldier, the protest in Galway tomorrow should be a laugh. The anti-homophobia and anti-ism crowd are coming out to counter protest. Absolute simpletons. Absolutely. But as I keep saying, maybe lads, you should be followers of Voldemort and keep getting it on into you. They don't really know what to do when you say that to them, by the way. They're not really sure. They're like, you're looking out for my health. Yeah. You keep doing that there. Whatever suits you. Speculatively, allegedly. What did we all think, by the way, in the chat there? See Emmanuel Godson. Hey, fellas. Saladin, oi. Kevin McMahon, how are you, lads? What did you all think about Brian Kerr during the week? Yeah, the girls, it's great that they got to the World Cup and, they shouldn't have been singing the song. Are you for real? Are you actually for real? As a former Ireland manager, you should really know about that and you should actually tell the truth and tell people it's great to hear people singing that song. And that's about our culture, our heritage that is severely under threat, by the way. And isn't it odd, the two people that came out and spoke about that was a woman, Vera Powell, wherever she's from, she's South African, and then another one then, Mastasnik or something like that. That's an Irish name if ever you've heard one, of course, there, So they're the two people that came out front and center and were like, we're very sorry about what happened. No, you should be proud. And see, this is what you've done, because now they're going to come after you. You should have been out there being like, no, we're the ultimately, as well, as I always like to say, whoever decided to live stream it and film it, serious questions need to be asked. What are you doing? Why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you decide to do something like that? That's obviously going to be sensitive, and especially because the Brits were just waiting for it after the whole Queen situation. They were waiting for it, but consistently and constantly as well too. Women are it, you know. And if it had been a men's team, I do think the same sort of outcome would have happened. They'd apologise for it rather than saying get bent and you better listen to it and learn about their history. I mean, yeah, man, what's your man's name? Wooten, is it? I was scolding them, being like, maybe you should be educated on history. Oh, look at what happened with the the three-lettered group over here in England. Yeah, because you invaded this country you did for hundreds of years. You pilfered it, same as what's happening now. And people are wondering why people are getting aggy now. It's unbelievable. But see, I know people and friends of mine as well that are British, that are English, that are totally unaware of the history of what they've done. You see, as I keep saying, history is written by the victors, and they think what they did in Ireland, in India, in Hong Kong, and all of these different places, even in the USA, they think they did great things. I think they did wonderful things. So when you have a version of history that's been taught to them, and then the real version of history that's been taught here, and I'm sure in India and Hong Kong, it's very different to what these people are going with. And that's why I'm saying you have to be very wary of who's writing the book and where it's coming from and where the money is for that. You know, it's very interesting. Anyway, we'll keep going. So I've got a couple of people here. Anyway, I'll jump into the stories as well, because as I said to you before as well, I want to keep these shows kind of light now insofar as I want to keep them down in around the 2 hour mark, because I just find that to be a bit more digestible for people. I know the 4 hours is a slog. So anyway, this is the big news, and if I could ask you to do one thing from tonight's stream, would be to share this story. Share the story to as many people as you can. Now, I'm going to give a big shout out to the Gateway Pundit. The Gateway Pundit are actually a brilliant source, and these are people that are very much so interested in telling the truth and with a bit of humor also. Fantastic article that's been done, and you're not going to see this on any sort of mainstream media. They're not going to admit to this, and they're not going to shove this into the face of normies and people that are kind of on the verge and on the edge of fully agreeing with you now at this stage with what's going on. Show them this, send them this type of article, because they will be bowled over. And you will also get the type of idiot, and I mean, again, it's very easy to find these people out. If you send an article like this, it's not a reputable source. What do you mean? Well, it's not from RTE or CNN. Reputable source, is it? So anyway, you've got this here. Breaking big. Group beginning with P. Director admits Voldemort was never tested on preventing transmission during EU hearing, contrary to previous claims. Now, Christine Anderson, what a woman. What a woman. Again, by the way, this is the right side of history here we're on. When you're crediting a wonderful woman like Christine Anderson, who's actually coming out and being like, I told you. I told you all of this. She's coming out and saying this. Meanwhile, you've got the lefties that are over here saying nothing. I mean, here's the thing. Mary Lou McDonald and Sinn Féin had a political open goal for the last 2 years. Still do, in a way. But what they decided to do was, when Mary got sick with the owl flu, they decided to go into hiding for the 2 years. Now, has that got something to do with Mary's sister? Allegedly, speculatively. Anyway, Mary went sick and didn't come back and was like, hey guys, unhealthy woman, overweight woman, I got through this now, but I think the government are talking absolute spoof, and I think it's now time for talk about no confidence. No, didn't do that. I was more interested in about what's going on in Cuba. I was more interested in about, zero COVID. Very much so interested in locking the country down. And these are videos, by the way, that Sinn Féin have since deleted. They've deleted them off the likes of Facebook so that you can't find the paper trail and you can't find the evidence. Now, what is very good for us is that they still have Paul Donnelly TD making comments. They still have him with a Twitter profile, and you just have to scroll through his stuff and you just look at it and go, oh my God, look at this fella, because he is absolutely full on in on all this. And as that previous phone call had showed with the Irish inquiry, they showed exactly the type of individual these people are. And like I said, at the time, these people were very happy to meet up and smile and take pictures with him in man outside the Dáil after what had happened in Sligo. Very little talk about that too, either, is there? Very little talk about Aisling Murphy too, isn't there? Weird, isn't it? So anyway, you've got this here, and this is a massive story here because ultimately these people now have lied. So what are going to be the repercussions for these people? Well, it's up to you, because here's the thing. What's happened over the last couple of years is a lot of people have lost faith and trust in the likes of Garda Khan and various forces across the world, because they look at them and go, he's going to do anything about that, lads? And the answer is no. Why is the answer no? Well, the answer is no because they're like, well, if you rock the boat, you won't get paid here. But you're not on this together. Do you not know people that are just suddenly collapsing all around the place? Do you not know people that are suddenly having issues or anything like that? Are you having issues yourself? Because maybe you should start waking up and smelling what's going on. Because I know for a fact these people are watching the different videos because they're being told to do that. Again, let's not worry about the rampant fraud that happened over the last couple of years here. And again, this is just another indicator and proving of that point when they come out and be like, yeah, it didn't do what it said in the tin. Okay, so that implicates so many different politicians as well. And from what I understand, Aintu's Pater Tobin is now making some sort of request, I think, of Stephen Donnelly. So that's going to be interesting. But he should be shouting about that from the rooftops. You know what I'm saying? Paul Reid the same, Tony Holohan, Neffet and everything like that. We'll worry about the science later. We'll just get this done now. What? That's like driving a car down the road and saying to people, yeah, listen, we didn't do any safety tests on that, but the car's out on the road. That's not allowed to happen. They do safety testing on the car to like the absolute breaking point of the car. And then they're like, okay, the car is now safe to be implemented into society. This has happened the other way around. This was like a go-kart with the wheels barely being screwed on here, and they're running it down the hill being like, yeah, I think it'll be grand, lads. The wheels are off. It's done. And now they're talking about and floating out restrictions. I credit the Yanks because here's the thing. If November swings the way, which I think it will, now they will have to pull off another incident, because you can't say certain words obviously as well too with relation to that. They will have to pull off another huge incident in November to get by. And if the other side get control, there's massive pressure, and this is the difference, right? There's huge pressure on the Republicans right now and will continually be on them from their own people, because those people are breathing down the necks of all of these elected officials, telling them, you better make sure that these people are charged. You better make sure that these people are investigated. You've just seen our president has been investigated to the hilt, has been raided, has been treated disgracefully over the last number of years. And we want to see that energy going the other way, because you will find things quickly. So much so that you do not need to have any sort of police badge in your pocket. It's very easy. And that's what exactly needs to happen, because in my view, that will reverberate across the entire world if a message is sent out and fear is then amongst them. Because if they think they're going to get away with it again, they will absolutely do it. I mean, it's as simple as this. You look at Transformers 1986, the movie, and Optimus Prime has Megatron down. He's ready to go. And Megatron is begging and pleading to be let off the hook. But Megatron is crawling towards his own weapon because he's going to take a cheap shot at Prime to try and take him out. And instead of pulling the trigger, which is something that fans have talked about for decades, and then Michael Bay actually corrected that with the Transformers movies and made Optimus Prime someone that was decisive, fans still gave out, of course, the lefty ones as well. Prime isn't supposed to do that. Listen, if you're in a centuries-long war with these people, absolutely you're supposed to pull the trigger as soon as possible. Is that not the option of these things? No. So anyway, Prime hesitates and Prime ends up getting taken out. So much so that Megatron actually comes back stronger than ever, and then still continues to do nefarious things. That was a lesson that was told in 1986. Since then, now you've got a person that's out there, be doing a video on it. Probably not interesting to anybody that doesn't follow Transformers, but I like to weave entertainment into these things. You've got somebody that's trying to do some revisionism on the Transformers 1986 movie. Oh my God, Wheeljack is actually misogynist towards RC. What? Nobody in 1986 was talking like that. The fact that they included RC was just to bring in a couple of female fans, and even at that, they were like, keep it minimal. You know, we'll bring in the Princess Leia lookalike because they've done well in Star Wars. But I mean, that's about it, guys. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, RC is running the show, and so is this female. Excuse me? You've got a female character in there as well? Yeah. She gets into an exo suit, and she's the one that beats Galvatron. not hot rods. No. It's the female, the extra. Okay, that's revisionism. You're telling lies. So anyway, the point I'm making is that Megatron, whilst down and very much so in trouble, gets reformatted by an even bigger problem and bigger evil in Unicron and comes back then. This is what I'm saying to you. These movies, when they were good, were lessons. Same with the Rambo movies. If anyone has ever seen the Rambo movies, I love the Rambo movies, I do, but particularly the last one. It got shot on by critics and got shot on by some people, but I loved it because what did Rambo do in it? Rambo made sure that people that had wronged his family, that were going to wrong his property and him, were mercilessly and ruthlessly gone. Like, again, I'm not advocating for any of that sort of stuff, but what I'm saying is I very much so enjoyed the Rambo movie. I think Rambo is a fantastic character. But what I'm saying is that he ensured that these people were going to be put where they were going to be put. And very similarly, in all those movies that I watched, people that should be arrested and put into prison for a very long time, as a stark reminder to not do that again, is very important. And that's what that signifies. This signifies that there should be very big repercussions, because here's the thing, guys, and this is something that politicians like to do. If I know about this, they know about this. Because if this Gonzo production knows about this and now you know about this, they should know about this. And this age of, oh, I didn't know that from a politician, that's over. And I mean, articles like this, I would say respectfully, send to local TDs, councillors, whoever it might be, send this article to them and say, what are you going to do about that? What are you doing about this? And see what type of response you get back. Again, respectfully, I should say. And similarly as well too with Enoch Burke, question your local TD. What are you doing for an Irish man that is currently now in jail? And your parties all help people out that were doing worse things. What are you doing about it? And again, the more people that know about that, the better, you know? Okay, so anyway, we'll be going on through a couple of different things that we see here, and this is obviously very much so linking into what we've been talking about. So we'll click into it here and see how it goes. The urinal here says the Irish rail train was halted shortly after leaving Waterford. This comes from 2 hours ago, so this was actually from today, I think it was. Passenger passes after becoming seriously ill on Waterford to Dublin train. Rail passenger has passed after he became seriously ill while travelling on the Waterford to Dublin train earlier. Yeah, that's totally normal, isn't it? All these incidents that are happening on public transport and on football matches and stuff like that, that's totally normal, isn't it? No, nothing to be worried about there. But no questions being asked. But what I'm thinking as well, coming from the likes of the urinal here, I'm starting to think that these people are starting to look at it and go, oh, shit. Because surely at this moment in time, they're like, myocarditis is something I never heard of before, but now what they're doing is they're actually telling me about it. What's that about? And then you've got this Gonzo production that's coming and going womp womp. Guess what, guys? You're in trouble. And how is it that I was told 2 years ago that if I didn't take any of this stuff, I'd be gonskis, but yeah, here I am still. Thank the Lord. Again, full praise and honor to God and Jesus Christ here, because as I've said before, my faith in the institution is at an all-time low, but my faith in God and indeed in Jesus is an all-time high, because many a night, many a day, I prayed to them and said, look, help us out here. You know, we're on the right side here. Evil is currently rearing its head and is across the globe now. Help us defeat this evil, and help this evil to be revealed, and help this evil to be defeated once and for all. Now, I know we're evil. It always just waits. It doesn't go away totally. And this is what we're at now. We have seen a full manifestation of it now, and hopefully now we can get through it. And I do believe we will, because this is the thing. I see a lot of people that are out there that are very pessimistic, and you shouldn't be. You should be very optimistic, because the tide is very much so turning. You've seen what's happened to a certain Jones character there. This fella's been sued. He is by families, and he is nearly paying out $1 billion because he said things that they disagreed with. Now, and that's fair enough in my view. But what about all of the times that the media has lied? How about that? What about all of the times and people now that they've decided to advocate this stuff for Stephen Colbert, RTE, Claire Bourne? What about these people? There's any of these families, and this is where I'm getting with this. If you're a family member and you have someone there that has passed on and it's a heart-related thing, now you're being told the Surgeon General in Florida is actually coming out and has written about it and has said, hey, I'm not recommending this to anybody under 40. Now, to me, I would go further with that and be like, listen, this is totally out, you know. That's where I'd be at with that. But I don't know what the gamesmanship is that's going on there. However, should people now not be making those claims towards these companies? Hey, you told us that. You know what I'm saying? Jones makes a comment. Jones is actually paying more money than the fella who actually carried out the atrocity. You know what I'm saying? Like, what a clown world we live in, but it's ultimately about, and they showed their heads again the last couple of days, where they were like, we just want Jones gone because he's a thorn in their side and he's someone that is asking questions. And they think that shutting him up, which they're not going to do, by making him pay a massive fine to try and shut him up, is going to work. It isn't. He's not going away. And not only that, but he has spurred on so many other people to do the same. The house of cards is coming down. And situations like this are starting to become more frequent. Now, of course, the sheeple, as I like to call them, and other people like to call them, aren't asking questions about this. They're like, oh, that's totally normal. But hang on here for a second. Is this not the second or third event of this that's happened this year so far? How many people did you know that went away there because of the renamed flu? None. What about this? Is this not something to be worried about? No. What about this significant increase that has happened in America? Data-driven facts here? No. Anyway, we'll continue on here. This fella should absolutely be in prison. This fella should be in prison in place of Enoch Burke, if I'm being quite honest with you, because this is one of the main peddlers of, in my opinion, misinformation and disinformation regarding this stuff over the last couple of years. Like I said, at no point in time has this fella come out and been like, listen, guys, 99.9% survival right here. Everyone's killed. Don't be worrying. Get the Barocca into you. Get the oranges into you. Orange juice, blem sips, all's killed. No. Other way about it. This fella should absolutely 100%, in my opinion, I'm fully behind the idea of people that have peddled out this sort of stuff and are doing stuff like this to be in jail. Is this not trying to put terror into people? Is this not trying to put fear into people over something that is completely and utterly superfluous? Now, as an aside, they are coming out now. I think I said it last week or the week before, and I said to you that they had a new one planned for November. Well, looks like I was right on the money now, because I said to you there, the point man, actually, credit to him, he's the one who told me, said that they are gearing up for a new one there towards the end of October and the start of November. And look what they're doing right now. They're gearing up for another one. Now, as you quite clearly know, and as I know, that when these things go on, they get weaker. They don't get stronger. So this nonsense of coming out and being like, guys, it's actually something to be worried about, I disagree. And if it is something to worry about, how come the people who funded this situation, particularly in America and in China, how come they're not behind bars? And allegedly in the blue and yellow country, because again, 6 things were sent from the Ruskies and they seem to hit very specific points. And wouldn't you know it, all seem to have laboratories in them. Again, how come the monkeying around, and I mean, aside as well too, the monkeying around wasn't a runner, by the way, if you've noticed, because people didn't pay attention to it and they mocked it, they laughed at it. So if you don't pay attention to it and you mock it and laugh at it, it's not a runner for them. Disinterest, complacency, and indeed lack of adhering to what they say is something that Stephen Donnelly spelled out himself. Well, we didn't have people on board for this, so we know we couldn't keep up the restrictions. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it's going to work next time? No way. You think you're going to stop people from me, like me talking as well, to where I'm working or anything like that, or where I'm talking in everyday life? Friends, family. Think I'm going to stop? I'm going to get worse. You're not going to hear the end of it from me. I'm going to be telling you, you've took 4 of these things and you're afraid. What are you doing? Where's the testosterone gone? Know what I'm saying? Not listening to this here. This bleeding Herman Munster lookalike here. Coming out. Ministers have been warned of the potential reintroduction of public health restrictions if a new and more deadly variant of this emerges this winter. What are you talking about? The last time you pulled this shtick, you said 5,000 people were taken out by this. It's been revealed that it's 183 over 2 years. There's probably been more cardiac-related incidents that have happened this year so far than has happened ever before, and you're like, nah, nothing to worry about. So anyway, this fella should be in jail instead of Enoch Burke, in my opinion. Because what he has peddled out here, along with the book that he is selling as well too, that's also peddling out this nonsense. To me, could you not make a case for that, no? Would that not be made a case for, no? Anyway, we'll keep pressing on. This is a brilliant meme. I absolutely love this one. This is spot on. This is the left. As I said before, their activity seems to be becoming a bit more quiet and quieter. Protest there the 24th of September, and the left were at it, and RTA were like 3,000 people turned up. Or that's 3,000 of your own people that you like like the likes of People Before Profits, Sinn Féin, and all the NGOs that are there, and 3,000 people turned up. You should be embarrassed. There was at least 10,000 people, tinfoil hat wearing nut jobs out on on O'Connell Street there a year ago because they were like, "No, not having this." Now I don't know about you, but my maths might be a bit spotty here. But 10,000, you did lie now. You did lie, to be fair to you, and you said that there was 1,500 people out there. You did lie, to be fair, right? But 10,000 definitely is more than 3,000. And you can't get 3,000 more people to that event. No. 3,000 was your ceiling. And that's even telling lies, I would say. I'd say that was under 3,000. And these are people that you're supporting and you're in bed with. And yet you couldn't get them out for that. This is why it's important to be organised and it's important to be strategic with these things, because you have students now at the moment that are like, we're going to do lecture walkouts. No, that was the wrong option to take there, lads, because you paid the fees. What you should have done collectively together was saying to them, we're not paying the fees. Because if it's like this, if I'm after being living in a college, and this is what colleges do, by the way, colleges have a set intake of people every year. So let's just say, for example, they have 200 people coming in each year. They have facilities and indeed a campus there to facilitate those 200 people. And exactly as they go on through the years, still to facilitate them. Now, will everybody get space there? No, 100% no. But you were talking about nearly all of these people not getting spaces, or at the very least, a large majority of them. If that was me, I'd be like, I'll tell you what, lads, I'm not paying you. And not only am I not paying you, but everybody else here is not paying you, because we're on social media age here and we're all young and we're all hip with it. And we should all be able to do that, because this is what you people ultimately understand. You understand money. And money drives these people. It's like Hasbro at the minute, and that's why I'm doing videos on Hasbro. You want to pay $350, €350, £350 for a toy car and a 6-inch figure that have LEDs. You have to be off your rocker. And you are setting a precedent if you're deciding to pay in for that. Now, what college students are doing are they're setting a precedent currently, which is you can treat us however you like, with no facilities, with no place to stay, and we're still going to pay our fees. You see what I'm saying? Take the fees away from them, they panic. They're like, I guarantee you something would have been done. Guarantee it. And that's the thing, and that's what happens as well too, and that's what Philip Dwyer was doing there when he was out outside Bargaintown. Look at these people that are out here. Fire Brigade, have they been out to check this? Not only that, then what about the Irish homeless that are here? By the way, Fabu D as well, Nigerian alleged comedian, I would say, because this fella is not funny at all, had an Irish fella, homeless man, doing push-ups, 20 of them there in front of him for his own entertainment, for him to stream, and give your man €20. So that's a Nigerian fella making a mockery of an Irish fella. Nowhere on the mainstream news, was it? Video incoming on that one, though, by the way. So this is what you've got going on in this country. You have a myriad of problems. Now, the Fabu D thing is just a very, I would say, concerted effort. And he's been on talking to Gettr as well too, telling them about replacing the Irish population, because these people are actually, what's the word? procreating very quickly. And if you've noticed that yourself, you're definitely right to have noticed that, because for every person that you know that's Irish that bought into the last 2 years, a couple of people that I know now that are starting to have trouble procreating. Ain't no procreation trouble coming on with these people that are just rolling into the place. So you've got these people that are all lockstep with this stuff. They'd be Joe supporters as well in America. They'd be Green fans as well too here in Ireland. These are the type of people that you've got. And every single time, these people are on the wrong side of history. And you've got to realize that this is the exact same people, the current thing. And these would be the same people that would be like, why is everything so expensive? How come my cafe is closing down? How come my hotel is closing down? Because you were flying that flag there last month, weren't you? And before that, then you were doing this. And you were telling people that they couldn't come into your place of work because you were telling them that they weren't fit to be there because they didn't take something that QR code was going to sort out. But of course, then, that didn't work out, because people decided not to buy into it in large majority. This now, I have to be honest, just as a bit of a change up in terms of topic here, this was the weirdest article that I've seen in quite some time. And I'm telling you, I'm someone that has scrolled through weird articles over the last 2 years. So much so that, the clocks going forward are causing heart issues. Right. Breaking your, stepping your foot on the brakes there too quickly is causing heart issues. Really? Well, the F1 drivers don't seem to have those problems, nor does anybody else that drives like a Bugatti Veyron or anything like that. They don't seem to have that issue. Weird, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, so when you look at this here, like I've read through weird articles, but this article now stood out to me. And when I see an article like this, I'm like, okay, what's really happening? Because my, again, full and total condolences and sympathies with these people. It is interesting how the media decided to peddle it. And again, what I'm going to say is this: the collection of people that are involved, my heartfelt sympathies go out to them and all of their families. The media decided to go with a father and a daughter. And again, the ultimate thing to look at it is like this: it is absolutely awful what has happened, and it's awful that a child in particular has been involved in this. I mean, there's no way of looking at that any other way. It's absolutely unbelievable. But the media decided to highlight what the man and the child looked like, and they decided to play on that for people. That's where they went with that. Not about anybody else. Oh, Jim was there, he was getting a bag of chips. No, that's terrible. And this girl up here was visiting her boyfriend and she was getting an ice cream. But look at these two people. Look at the story we're going to tell about them. They're going to get their mammy a birthday cake, and the dad decided that day not to have her in school, so they get the birthday cake. The whole spiel. And then the priest as well too, coming out and having a spiel. And I'm looking at it going, hang on here now, this seems a bit weird to me. Well, I respect the fact that people are coming out with condolences and sympathies, but when I see stuff like that and I start to see articles like this, why would the Gardaí be keeping an eye on the rubble from this Creaslow explosion and at a separate location? Why would they be doing that? That's got very big shades of what happened in New York, doesn't it? They did the exact same thing there. We moved the stuff to another place. Why? Well, that's classified. It's classified. Yeah, that's classified. We can't talk about that. Okay, we're not going to have a full and transparent investigation into that. No. Your man over there now, he has weapons that we don't like at all. All right, and it's his fault. All right, lads, we're all going there. Were there weapons there? No, there weren't weapons there now at all. So what was that about? Well, we destabilized the country, which now has led into mass migration from that country and other countries around it because of the problems that happened into Europe, which have now caused massive problems in Europe and it's destabilized the whole place. Great. And what's also happened then as a result too? Well, your money becomes worth less. Government have decided in the budget there to try and keep the people against each other by giving people that are on the social welfare a couple of extra quid, whilst pawning the worker off until 2023 to try and keep each other out of each other's throats. But what did the government do before that? 3 weeks beforehand, they gave themselves 6,500 rise. So it meant that they kept up with the 15% inflation there, and their AVCs are all good. So you are actually ultimately earning less now. And if you have a pension now, you're ultimately earning less now on that pension that you've worked all your life for as a result. So that's what they've done. And in the meantime, they are carting everybody and anybody into the country with no security checks. That's not my words. They're the words of Micheál Martin. Into the country, and they're giving them freebies hand over fist there. What do we reckon? What do we think? Now, when I put all of that into context, and you see this here, I start to ask questions. I'm going, well, that seems weird. And that's all I have to say. Because it's the weirdest article I've ever seen. Why would they be keeping rubble under watch? Is there something there that they don't want the public to see? Like, here's the thing. This is what I'd be calling for. I'd be calling for a full and transparent, open investigation into this now. Public. 100%. Has this got something to do with them trying to demonize gas and petrol? Speculatively, allegedly? Maybe. Because that's how they could spin it. However, I think something... I have to look at this here now. I think something went wrong. And I don't think this quite got the story that they thought it was going to get. I also think that because there's been minimal amount of people talking about this, because people are worried about other things, this story hasn't been a runner in general. Like, I've talked to people and talked to them about what happened in Donegal, and they're like, huh? They're like, what? What happened in Donegal? And I'm like, yeah, no, like, there's been a couple of things that have happened up there. Let's have a look. And they're like, no, I didn't hear about that. So you're not listening to the media too much now anymore. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, that's a good thing, I would say. But also, this is how little of an effect it's had on people that they're like, nah, didn't hear about that. So to me, this is another thing. The media are losing influence too, which is, in my view, in my opinion, again, speculatively, allegedly, gas and petrol were to be looked at as very negative things as a result of this, but doesn't seem to be. It's a weird article. That's all I have to say about that one. I think it's the most strange article I've read in a long time, and I've read some strange ones. This is one for another day anyway. Look at this. Look what they've done to the Hulk. And not only have they done this to the Hulk, but they've done this to the Hulk's son. Look at him looking away and everything like that. This isn't an attack on masculinity, by the way. You had Ed Norton, who was a fantastic Bruce Banner and Hulk, who clearly seen the writing on the wall as the way things was going. And was like, Avengers, now I'm out. Peace. Nice one, lads. Because it totally goes against the character. The character's supposed to be a certain way, and you want to do this doofy thing with him. It's unbelievable. So anyway, they have this here. This is my son's scar, and this is the way Mark wrote. This is my son's scar. he looks like a chocolate gnome that you'd get in around Christmas time that's been left out in the sun for 20 minutes, and you're like, forgot about that there, a bit melty looking, you know what I mean? Anyway, this is what you've got here. Absolutely baffling, but a full and total assault on masculinity. Now, here's the thing. DC could have picked up from here and they could have done the right thing, which was, okay, Black Adam is coming out and you cast correctly, you have a winner on your hands, and you have Henry Cavill coming back and you have a banger on your hands. Nah, you decided to mess around with Hawkman and you've decided to put a woman into the role of Cyclone that doesn't look like Cyclone, and now she's using they, them pronouns and saying that she's a man. Yeah, listen, I'm not funding that. So forget about it. I don't care if you wheel out Henry Cavill. I'm not going. So anyway, that's just a little entertainment thing. This came out there the October 14th, so this came out yesterday. Consumers shifting back to cash with bigger and more frequent ATM withdrawals. This is frightening the banks, by the way. The banks are very afraid of this happening. Now, the ultimate plan is this, and as I keep talking, people say this is a great thing. It is. But if these people, which is what's going to happen in my view with the likes of Britain. Britain are starting to talk about it, starting to talk about digital currency. Charles is mad for it, by the way. Mad for digital currency. They're talking about that. So people withdrawing money, these people just look around and go, well, your cash is actually becoming less worth than what it was before, because if you had, I don't know, 100 euros, February 2022, this all kicks off, prices go up. Prices were going up anyway, but they'll all tell you it was just to deal with that. And they'll tell you now, okay, your weekly shop, say, for example, was €100. It's now €150. You've lost €50. Whether you're paying with cash or card there, you've lost. So that's what needs to be drummed into people way more, in my view, rather than like, cash and card, which I think is a very noble thing. And a big shout out to the MMA community in particular, because they have been some of the ones that have spearheaded this here by paying with cash. 5 days of cash, I think they were doing there, and they were doing challenges much better than this ALS thing where they're putting buckets of ice cold water over their head. The cash one's a much better idea, so fair play to them. I've seen a number of them there, Paddy Houlihan and Kiefer Crosby being another one as well, that have done this type of movement, and I like it. I think it's a fantastic thing. But this is definitely going to frighten themselves, and the fact that the media are acknowledging that, one of the more accurate stories, which is surprising, but ultimately is going to come out with, guys, it's actually less safe, because, again, they're talking in the media to try and offset this by saying burglary is up. So they're trying to make you afraid of having cash in your gaff. You know what I'm saying? So keep an eye out for that, because those type of articles are happening now and they will come out more frequently. But this is a good thing to see, because if the money is withdrawn from the banks are sent a very clear and obvious message. And that means that they don't have too much money to play around with, which is why they want to keep it there. So very interesting to see how this one pans out. But this is actually a good article, and in fairness to Charlie Weston here for actually posting this, because I'll shout out someone that's actually doing a good job here in terms of this. The fact that they're acknowledging this is a good thing, and it's a good thing for you and me. Cash is king. Enoch Burke wants to sue Sunday Independent over allegedly defamatory article. Court hears. This is awesome. Now, this is the type of thing that I think is a fantastic movement. And I said, I think it was 2 days ago, I think someone put out an article, I think it was the Independent that was themselves, that were saying Enoch Burke has been moved to a separate part of Mountjoy prison because he was annoying other prisoners. That was fake news. I said it 2 days ago, and it's been proven now to be fake news, because the whole mantra and way of reporting surrounding Enoch Burke has now changed. Because he's doing this. And this is the type of movement that's needed. This is why the likes of your man across there in America, Kyle, and anybody that goes after these companies is to be feared from these people's point of views, because what's happening now is you've got people that are very much so interested in holding these people accountable, which they've not been held accountable before. And I'm going to touch on that now in a moment with someone in particular. But this is very interesting because, again, you've got Enoch Burke there, who also has a sister that's a barrister. I think she is a solicitor at the very least, a barrister, as far as I know, that's looking at this point of view too. So I think this is a good thing to see, and it is about time that people start to hold these people accountable, because what they're trying to do, and this is ultimately what's happening in this media sphere, they're trying to turn people against this fella, trying to make him into some sort of unhinged loon. Now, here's the thing. They decided to come out and say he's annoying prisoners. Okay. Now, what they tried to do was, with the words that they were using, was they tried to say, oh, he's annoying other prisoners, so he must be a bad guy. You were telling me people that you ultimately would write about that have, according to you, moral ambiguity and are negative people, bad people, according to you, 9 times out of 10. Do you not write articles consistently and constantly about the Kinahans? Again, my belief is this: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the fact that you keep talking about the Kinahans is very interesting to me, because you seem to know their every single movement, but you can't seem to figure out the data from the last 2 years. That's interesting to me. Now, when it comes to this guy, I think that the movement that is happening here is interesting, because I think the fact that they tried to put it out there that this guy was annoying prisoners, okay, what sort of moral standards does that set? Because if this fella is talking about God and the right way, I mean, that's a good thing, is it not? Should you not be looking at it like that? No. But where's the clergy? Where are the clergy when it comes to this here? They should be outside, front and centre, all of them across different denominations, wherever it might be, together. They're well able to do that over the last 2 years. So how come they're not outside and telling parishioners, by the way, guys, everyone down here, we're going to have mass outside here, or we're going to go down and protest about that? They were the same clergy that were happy to tell you about the sniffles over the last couple of years, weren't they? So to me, these are the big questions that are being asked constantly and consistently by myself. Moving on here. Mayo GAA says, Mayo GAA wish to express sympathy to the family of Colin from Mayo Gaels GAA club who passed away. Colin was an under 17 player with Mayo Gaels. What happened? Like, what's going on here? And again, is this number 19, 20 maybe, perhaps as well too, of the GAA family over the last 6 months, 8 months maybe even 10, that this similar thing has happened? What's going on? Very sad indeed, and the fact that this stuff has been swept under the carpet. By the way, just to be very clear here, a 17-year-old and the media disinterested in that, disinterested in Dylan Quirk, disinterested in Damien Casey there that played for Tyrone, disinterested in multiple other people there that are read out beforehand, totally disinterested. But we're telling you to be taking care of granny and granddad because they might have gotten the sniffles. Does that not tell you everything you need to know? Very little concern about the youth. These people are trying to mess around with the youth, something terrible. This is why the likes of getting rid of Andrew Tate from social media has been a big move from these people over the last couple of weeks. But what has happened? He's just gained more influence. And he's gained more influence on Rumble. Because people said, what are these people doing over here? They're getting rid of him over here. We're not going to listen to him over there. 500,000 subscribers. You just made him bigger. That's great. You keep doing that, though. You keep doing that, because that's what's going to happen. These people are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Microsoft avoids paying tax in many countries by using Irish subsidiaries, study finds. Microsoft Singapore Holdings posted profits from dividends of $23.1 billion in 2020, but announced a tax liability of just $15. That's right. That's not being misquoted here, by the way. That's $15. You're starting to look at tax a different way now, aren't you? Starting to look at Bill's company here now and what they're able to invest in, especially with $23.1 billion and all the airtime he's gotten over the last couple of years. Seems like this money's going somewhere that doesn't need to be going. But again, been avoiding paying tax. You or me, they'd be telling you, oh, you have to go to court and all that about that. Anyway, that's just something that you should be highlighted on. Mini strokes. This is coming from breakingnews.ie. Stoke star Chris Fountain has suffered a mini stroke at the age of 35. Wonder what happened there. This is happening to younger people all the time. How to spot the signs, even when you think you're fitting well. This is insane. It's insane to think. And now, not only that, but they talked about this Chris Fountain guy and they decided to use the different stock image. So they're trying to normalize this. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying their very best to say, oh, this is normal. Spot the signs at 35. Absolute joke. Everybody knows what this is about, and people need to be getting louder about what this is about, and they're getting louder. Europe likely entering another wave, says these gangs. Now, absolutely 100% should be arrested immediately. I mean, if Interpol are any use at all, which obviously they're not, they should be arresting these people entirely. Isn't the fella that heads that Tedros, is he not supposed to be up for Geno? Geno, whichever, you can't say the full word here. Is he not supposed to be up for Geno in his home country? Is he not? Is it Ethiopia? Did they not stick a charge towards him? Anyway, I'll tell you another one. So this is coming from that company there, by the way, that's controlled by as the family beginning with C there in America. Bill was once president, and the wife there hasn't shut up since. She's coming out now and wants to be president as well. That's allegedly who owns that. But they're telling you, another one's coming here. No, it's not. Absolutely no. And weird, isn't it, how the point man was able to tell me about that? Was it 2 weeks ago? Shout out to the point man, by the way. Way ahead of these people. How is it that an average head is ahead of the media, and particularly a big conglomerate like this one? It's weird, isn't it? Man caught with 2.5 million of Mary Jane, jailed for 9 years. Why? Like, why? He was a plant, you know what I mean? It's a plant. Again, I'm not someone that partakes, I'm not someone that condones, I'm not someone that supports. I do think that there's medicinal properties in it, and that's why they're very much so firmly trying to fight it off. I do believe in that, because I've heard about people with CBD, very much so, first-hand accounts. Changed them. Donald Cerrone being one of them, talked about it. His knees and his arms, particularly his elbows. He was thinking about retiring, I think, 6 years ago from the UFC. Put the CBD on. He's like, my elbows and knees, brand new. Feel great. Continued on. Only retired recently. You know what I'm saying? A lot to be said about that. What about all the materials that can be made from it? An awful lot. But the money in it for these people, too great. Because, again, like I said, more interested in this here than, the fraudulent activity, as has quite clearly been pointed out there at an EU commission. This isn't just some Mickey Mouse Club people just turning around talking. This isn't, as you like to call it, tinfoil hat wearers talking about these things. Actual medical experts that are pulling out data, like of Ivor Cummins and various other people in the likes of the medical field that have actually got a conscience and have morals, that have come together collectively and said, this is bang out of order and there's stuff here that's wrong. No investigation into that though, but investigation into the plants, because plant bad, experiment good. So you're starting to see, again, another evidence of it, which is, to me, where people are standing. And I don't hold any sort of issue. I don't know anybody, by the way, just to put us in the side, I don't know anybody that's been clipped with relation to this here. But I'm knowing people and starting to understand and hear about people that have been clipped with relation to the last year or two, speculatively. Very interesting. Four-time buyers failed stress tests ahead of further ECB rate hikes. Market analysis expert, ECB interest rates to peak at over 3%, with some predicting a peak of 3.25% by the middle of next year. Yeah, the idea is for you not to own a home. That's the idea. The idea is for you to be a permanent renter, not to be able to pass on any inheritance or wealth to the next generation and keep them in the class that they want them to be kept in. They don't want them to be taken off and owning multiple properties and like that. That's not what it's about. Different for them. They're going to do all that. Michal Martin coming out worrying, I'm worried about my kids and what they were going to do, and if there will be a place for them to stay. Are you joking me? You're actually joking me, mate. My old boy worries. My old boy is concerned. Not you. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I say that. My old boy is very proud of the accomplishments that I've made, and indeed very proud of what's happening with me. And this is the way I look at it. I've been brought up through good stock, very good stock, and I've been brought up and treated and indeed raised in a correct manner. Can I say that about the other fellas' kids? Can I say that? Not at all. Silver spoons. You know what I'm saying? And then you're telling me then that you're worried about them. My old fella worries. That's who worries. Because he's thinking, I hope everyone's alright, hope you'll be alright and everything like that. And especially when he's singing on to this. And it was him that actually had said, over the last couple of years when all the shenanigans were going on, he's like, would you not think, he said, like, that his own kids would say to him, listen, Miho, what you're doing here is wrong. and what is happening is wrong, and my friends have completely and utterly turned on you. No, because of course, then it's the usual old shtick. Mihal Jr. plays on the Cork GAA team, he's grand fella. He's good for a couple of points there. I tell you, if I was on the Cork GAA team, me and him wouldn't get on, to say the very least, because I'd be telling you better tell your outfit to knock this off because this is bang out of order. You know what I mean? Now, again, that's a respectful conversation. But this is the situation you have, which is rates are going up and up and up, and first-time buyers now are being priced out of market. I know a lot of people that are in this situation, and they're like, oh, well, I might have to go renting. Yeah, your wages are going to go completely and totally on that then, because there's no way of controlling that at all. So, good luck to you on that one, and I wouldn't recommend it. Certainly wouldn't recommend it. But this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it more and more difficult purposefully for you not to buy. And this is why the likes of cash is interesting as well, and I think is going to be something that they're going to try and use. Oh, we don't know where your cash flow is going and where you're withdrawing and where it's going to. It's just none of your business. How much am I getting every 2 weeks? Am I out to repay the mortgage? I absolutely am. So that's it. Job done. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is another one here. Dylan here, dressing up. This is mockery of women. This is, as I like to say as well, when you see videos like this, I just say to myself, this is the type of stuff that's been put out, and this has been put out here on TikTok. And this is why TikTok, in my view, is dangerous. And when I say it's dangerous, I'm not joking when I say that. This is the type of stuff, it's got 1,074 likes on here, which isn't that much, because this person allegedly has a big profile. But it isn't that much. But this is the type of stuff that's been pushed out towards the youth. This is why they had to get rid of Andrew Tate as soon as possible off applications and social media like this, because he was making waves, and young men in particular who haven't had a firm voice. Some of them don't have dads, because that's the way that they've decided to market society now. You've got a lot of women that are out there, for example, that think, and no disrespect to anybody that is, you've got people that are out there that are encouraged to be single parents, encouraged to be single mothers, and encouraged to have this sort of modern feminism which has ruined their own life and indeed the lives of others. Instead of saying, okay, traditional values, traditional way of thinking, and everything is hunky-dory, everyone's happy, everyone wins. But what they've done is they have, as Kanye West has quite accurately articulated during the week, they have put out the type of mentality towards women that they have to be doing what they need to do themselves and to forget everything else. And that's not sustainable. It really isn't. So let's have a look at this.
Heavens, bitch. Bland, and you're fucking stunning. I suppose it'd be rude not to show you my outfit. So I got this jumpsuit from Shein, belt from Penny's, the gloves from Shein, and I got these heels from Boohoo, and then styled the wig myself, and then the little earrings, they're vodka bottles, which is very fitting because I'm getting fucking twisted. So yeah, this is the look. I have to go. I'm running late. I'm going to go entertain some bitches and get fucked up. And yeah, stay stunning, girls.
This is a mockery of women that you're seeing in front of your very eyes. Now, again, as I keep saying, that's stunning and brave, what this fella is doing there. But of course, then, if, Versatile, for example, are to dress up as their favourite rappers for Halloween, they've, of course, to be cancelled. This is the type of clown world that you live in, that is acceptable there. The mockery, the total and utter mockery of women. And something I said before as well, even though this dude doesn't have it quite as much. Let's see if we get a close-up of it now. But this is something I've pointed out as well. It doesn't have them, but most of these individuals have lip fillers, they do, right? And that's what you're seeing with women now. Women are starting to more and more morph into drag artists with the looks of them. And this is why I said it. I'm going to probably do a video eventually as well too, to ask women to stop putting those lip fillers into their faces, because you look ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And it doesn't look good. You can't, for the life of you, think that looks good. Her lip is out like Mike Tyson is after going a couple of rounds and just after, it's going to say something different, is after throwing a few slaps towards the bottom lip of you. It's absolutely outrageous and you need to stop. But that's what's happening now. They're slowly getting you to morph into looking like these people, and everyone then has a botched looking face. Who did I see recently? Oh, that's right. That's your woman. Famke Janssen. Have you ever heard of her? She was in GoldenEye and she's in the X-Men movies as Jean Grey. Fantastic looking woman. Also in, what was that movie? Taken, as the wife. I saw her recently on one of those images, and they were like, "Look at this actress; she looks unrecognizable." And I was like, "Who is that?" And then I clicked into it, and I was like, "Famke Janssen." And I was like, "She is actually unrecognizable because she has done all of this cosmetic work to herself. There's no need for it. Stop. Do you know what I mean? You need to stop this sort of stuff and grow old gracefully." I heard about Angela Lansbury there, and I was like, "There's a woman who grew old gracefully and looked great towards the end." Obviously, you've got even Helen Mirren. Now, in my view, Helen Mirren probably does get a bit of work done, but not to the levels of some of the others. But looks good, grew old gracefully. Meryl Streep, I suppose you could even say. Some people might hold the candle for Meryl Streep, not me personally now or anything like that. And she's great. You've got your woman as well too. What's your woman's name? Dame. What's your woman's name? She's in James Bond anyway. She's grown old gracefully as well. But you've got these new wave of women, 40s, 50s now, that are botching themselves, looking unrecognizable, can't move their faces. It's weird. It's weird looking, and you need to stop. Anyway, that's a big aside. This video came out here today, and this is hilarious. Look at what's going on here in this country. I laughed at this video for a solid 10 minutes. It's a 35-second video, but I laughed at it for 10 minutes.
Washing up a bit of crack. Oh my god, what's this? Watch it, stay there, stay out of the way. This fella smoking crack in the washing machine. What are you up there, you mad thing? What's the crack? You having a pipe? What are you doing? What are you doing in the washing machine, you mad thing? You're fucking having a pipe, you cunt. You're having a pipe there, it is on your lap.
I'm on your way.
I'm looking at the pipe on your lap. I'm at the scene. The smell of crack out of the washing machine. You get out to wash my clothes.
So there you go. That's what's happening here in Ireland. Now, again, you've got the individual that's living in the washing machine. From what I understand from the accent there, most likely Irish. But Kelechi and the boys, yeah, sure, like they're moved into a new 4-bedroom house there, no problem at all. Now, not to say that this is the type of person you'd want to live beside you, but you know what I mean? That's the levels that you're at now. You've got this sort of stuff going on. This stream is probably now, they're probably at the limit in it now for a couple of bits of language there. So anyway, demographics. What a terrible word. We could go with that though, could we? Turning to Joe here. Demographics of long-term antidepressants. So here we have here minority men 45 plus, very low. Minority women 45 plus. Younger adults, white men 45 plus. Look at the white women 45 plus there. Older white women account for 58% of adults who have used antidepressants for at least 5 years. Now this is by the New York Times here. And why is this important? This is important because this shows you that the current stage with which these people are on, and telling these women like this with She-Hulk, for example, this is a very good marker. Hey guys, you should be single, have as many cats as possible. That's cool. Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, you're actually not happy now as a result, and now you're taking these things now, which is fueling the industry, and it is earning them so much money. That's why they want you to dislike men. That's why they want you to step away from traditional values and heritage and your own, I would say, basic biology, which sets in, obviously, when you do have a family and when you do have someone to care for. That's what's going on. And it's been replaced here by the pill. You know what I'm saying? It's been replaced here by something that is told to you as being a little friend, but is causing friction and problems and is making you unstable. So that's the skyrocket. There's a graph there that actually perfectly portrays the current situation of the world. And now you're seeing articles all the time. I think Hilary Swank, recently, she was like, I think she's 40 odd. And she's like, I'm going to settle down and have kids. Yeah, because you were told for something like 20 years probably that you shouldn't do that and should focus on your film career. Now you're like, I'm going to think about that again. So, to me, a very good study that shows you that the likes of shows like Rings of Power, She-Hulk, and various other ones that have come before, to Keeping Up with the Kardashians and other reality TV shows, is causing a negative effect, but it's causing a positive effect for companies that are selling things to these people. And it's very telling, isn't it? Now we keep going. This here from the 9th of July, I keep so used to saying 2022, 2009. Independent, just 96 months to save the world, says Prince Charles. The price of capitalism and consumerism is just too high, he tells industrialists. Well, that seems to have been wrong, and nobody seems to be talking about that. Nobody seems to be talking about how these people who keep making statements are constantly and consistently wrong. Don't seem to be making the statements towards that. Really don't. Weird. This is what I'm talking about earlier on about Enoch Burke. If I was Derek Blyg, and sometimes he comes into these streams and listens into the streams, how are you, Derek, if you're listening, and great work that you're doing out there, or anybody else, this is what you should be doing. You should be taking a leaf out of Enoch Burke's book here and directing it towards this fella here, because this fella is making a number of claims here that, in my opinion, are defamatory and are completely wrong. So look at these people, and all of these people run in the same sort of circles, and they also say the same type of things. And they're saying to people they're istophobes and all that. There's nothing istophobe about noticing your country being invaded. There's nothing istophobe about looking around and saying, hang on here now, it seems to be, to me, that the Irish people are being outbred and they are being told that they are not welcome in their own country. That's not istophobe. And I do not wish any harm onto anybody that doesn't look like me, not whatsoever. But what you have with these people is you have people that are actively cheering this stuff on, are cheering on problems and social issues, no problem at all, with no repercussions, and are actively and consistently on the wrong side. And then are making claims like this. I mean, someone to make a claim towards me that I'm some sort of istophobe is mind-boggling. It really is. Years ago, people used to take those type of statements and accusations very seriously. Not anymore, and that's how people like this fella here have devalued those words. When you see these types of people making statements like this, it's water off a duck's back, because you know it's some moron that hasn't got a clue what they're talking about, nor who you're friends with, nor what you do. I mean, I've been probably one of the biggest cheerleaders about the Blade movie starring Mahershala Ali. I'm hoping for that movie to be an absolute banger. I'm hoping for him it's going to be an absolute banger, because he has a massive person to look up to in Wesley Snipes. And you want to call me an istophobe? You must be off your rocker. You're talking to a fella that watched Jackie Chan movies through most of my youth, one of my favourite action movie stars. Like, you've got to be absolutely off your biscuit to be even making those sort of claims. But these are the type of people that you're dealing with, because they're stupid people. Talking about Derek Blyg as a thug. What sort of proof do you have of that? And a hardcore ist? How? This is what I'm saying to you. Take a leaf out of the Enoch Burke book, because it worked for Kyle over in America. It's working for Kyle over in America. I believe it'll work for Enoch. I really do. And I think that's where you're going to hold these people accountable. Now, the other side of things, which people will always say, and I agree with you on, you've then got to play the lotto then with a judge. You've got to get someone that's going to be very positive and look in your favour for your situation at hand, and hope that's going to be someone that's going to do a decent job. But ultimately, you've got to look at it and say to yourself, am I going to allow this or not? Is this going to be a good idea? I think it's not going to be a good idea, and I think it's something that we need to look at, and we need to say, you need more people in the judiciary that are looking at it from our point of view, and you need more people in the likes of law that are going to look at it from our point of view, for sure. But this is the type of stuff here. Is traveling the country, inciting hatred against what? What are you talking about? How could you be inciting this against anybody when you're pointing out the facts? This is what you people disagree with. You disagree with facts and problems, especially with statistics now that are ever so mounting in favor of people. And indeed, are you calling someone like this a hardcore ist and a thug that's a member of parliament from Sweden because they told the Irish government that this sort of stuff that the Irish government are doing do not work? They do not work whatsoever. So what are you trying to do, and what are you trying to accomplish with this sort of comment? It's not working. Back there. Now, you've got a comment like that there. Then you've got this here, asylum seekers in Cork and elsewhere. What do you mean? You mean pointing out the fact that people from a different country seem to be getting a little bit more than Irish people? Not only a little bit more, but definitely way more than Irish people. Using all the usual lies of the Irish far right. This is something that you're also talking about, which doesn't make sense whatsoever, and it doesn't clue into what you're doing at all. Sorry, lads, stream bugged out there. This Gonzo production. But you have this here. You've got inciting this against refugees and asylum seekers in Cork and elsewhere using all the lies. What do you mean lies? Here's what Derek's talking about. Uncapped and unvetted immigration. That's something that has been talked about widely in the media. That's a fact. They're actively promoting this sort of stuff. The housing crisis and homelessness. Absolutely. People can't afford houses. This is what I just talked about there. The ECB are telling you that first-time buyers are not going to be eligible for a house. Soaring crime. Also a fact as to what's happening. Have you not seen what happened in Cherry Orchard? And then you see the lack of reaction towards that. Oh, but they sent people out and did riots. They didn't send out the riot squad that they sent out into town when people are going for a few drinks, did they? Remember that? Over the flu? Didn't want to know about that. You were cheering that on. The energy crisis inspiring inflation. The energy crisis being one there. They're telling you that Eamon Ryan is going to gift himself powers to control oil in this country. That is a man that I wouldn't trust with sending down to the shop with €20 to buy a number of products that I would like out of that shop. I wouldn't trust Eamon Ryan to do that at all. Spiraling inflation. Spiraling inflation is absolutely happening, so much so that people are actively seeing it in their weekly shop now and can't buy things that they would have previously bought beforehand. Spiraling inflation and an energy crisis that people are talking about shutting off lights and shutting off gas so that they can save money and because they're put to the pin there at their collar. Meanwhile, you've other people that have been brought into the place that have been fed and watered and heated there for nothing. How's that fair? Destructive climate change policies. Listen to me now. If you think that the weather is going to be sorted out by money being thrown at the situation, you are a special kind of stupid. You really are. And in the age that we live in now, when you've seen decades worth, even there Charles telling you in 96 months since 2009 that the world was going to end, he was wrong on that. Al Gore was wrong on what he was said. And this has been a scam that has been pulled since the 1970s. But nobody seems to have the cojones largely to say that this is an absolute and utter hoax. I mean, you've got a woman there, Orla Coughlin was her name, that was on Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan made cry about the climate stuff. And she said, well, do you believe in the climate? And he's like, yeah, I do. No, Piers. What you were supposed to say is, no, hang on here for a second. This is all hooey. You've decided to deface a national monument in Big Ben. Whatever way you look at it, whether you disagree or agree with England and Britain or whatever like that, you've defaced a national monument. You're sitting here on my show talking to you. You should probably be in prison or in jail at the very least for doing that. But instead, you're wheeled out onto the show to tell me that the climate is important. You see, that's what I'm talking to you about, because they're even entertaining that discussion. And when I say entertain that discussion should be had to show these people they're ridiculous. You had it recently on Joe Rogan, someone that was talking about the climate that said they were a climate change expert. They didn't want to debate someone, though, that was a climate expert that was saying it was all hooey. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're afraid to debate that, then you probably don't know what you're talking about and you're afraid of being made a fool of. Because your poster boy, or I should say, indeed, your poster girl for the climate stuff has been a 12-year-old girl that a lot of people have asked question marks and have questions towards, because she's a 12-year-old girl that behaves erratically, seems to possibly be on some sort of spectrum, and has parents that are actors. Now, I don't know about you, but that seems weird to me. So when you want to talk about the climate stuff there, I think you're a special kind of idiot, because you're someone that probably believes in, probably the one person that voted for the Green Party 2 years in, by the way, lads, and I still don't know anybody that's voted for the Green Party. Never had a comment on this channel, even from the Green Party themselves, to say we vote for ourselves. No one. Nobody. Not one. Climate change. Listen to me. You are a special kind of fool if you think that throwing more taxes towards people and telling them to pay that to sort out the weather is going to work anything. The weather is going to do what the weather is going to do. Do you have the power to mess about with it? I believe so. They want you to look at what's happening in the sky. Every day, just take a look up at it now. Look at some of the planes. Look at a plane and say to yourself, okay, that doesn't seem to be showing any sort of jet streams. And then 20 minutes later, you see another one that does. Why is that? What's the aerodynamics of that? How come that's happening? How come that cloud that's there now, if it's a beautiful sunny day, which you'll notice, by the way, it's a beautiful sunny day, on a cloud in the sky, and next of all, this little plane comes up out of nowhere and it leaves a stream off, and you're going, oh, that's weird. And the following week, then, it seems to rain all week. Now, if you think that's far-fetched, as I've said beforehand, Isn't it weird that we have the means and ways of doing things, like, for example, the mobile phones? When my outlet was a child, they told him a man landed on the moon. If he's in Galway, the opportunity of him calling me and the reception being good is quite low. But they're able to call the moon. You know what I'm saying? Now, not only that then, but in those times when my outlet was a kid, they had rooms full of computers. Now we've got a computer in your hand. So you're capable of doing that. You're certainly capable of doing other things, in my opinion. Now, this is just my humble opinion, as I keep quite clearly saying. So this is just going through this here. Delimitation of freedom. Freedoms and rights were taken away over the last couple of years. Would you not agree with this? No? No. Because you see, this is the game that these morons play, like this fella here. You're on the opposite team. Listen, the opposite team are the people that are running the show. That's the opposite team. We should all be in this together, regardless of your viewpoints. And that's the thing that they're hoping for. They're hoping for division, and they're hoping for Peerless here to be getting 23,000 likes, even though we won't. We'll get 3 or 4 for this type of spurious claims that he's making. But do you not agree that freedoms were limited over the last couple of years? Oh no, you don't? Okay, right. And that was over the sniffles, but it's totally okay to implement and invite people that have had a 35% uptake in their country into this country willy-nilly then, is it? Seems to me that you're kind of discriminating against Irish people there, in my opinion, speculatively, allegedly. A basic constitutional rights. I think everyone deserves that, and that's including you, dummy, because you live here too. A leftist woke agenda is pushed on children. Yeah, absolutely. This is absolutely 100% happening. And see, this is the thing with people like this guy here. And this is what I want to explain to you. And this is why this show, in my opinion, again, I say this without any narcissism or ego or anything like that. I believe shows like this and the ones that, like the videos that Philip Dwyer does and the videos that Satirical Soldier does, Dave Cullen, Grant Reno, and the Irish Git as well too. I believe that these things are important because you have a generation, 70s, 60s maybe, that have bought into and think the way this fella does. Why would the government lie to me? Well, it's very plain and clear to see, as clear as the nose on your face. And what happens with a person like this, and again, I'm not speaking on this fella's behalf here, but I'm suggesting and speculating. When you've been told things for your entire life, it is very difficult for you to reason with the fact that you've been told lies and understand that the whole thing has been a con. It is difficult for you to realize that you are living in the matrix, and it is difficult for you to realize that once you unplug from it, you start to see everything the way it is. And I'm a very different person now than I was probably in 2020. I'm not going to say was, definitely am a different person. I see all of the ones and zeros now in everything. And these people have done that. I would have been happy to live my life in the matrix, but you decided to push and pull. You decided to irritate. You decided to aggravate me. And what I've decided to do is say, okay, right, now you've done multiple illusions in front of us. And once you understand how an illusion and a magic trick works, it becomes very easy to see through all the rest. Once you know a magic trick and how a magic trick works, you can see it and you understand how it's performed. And every single time the same beats happen. Government have a meeting, goes out to the media. Oh, guys, this is a bit of a, insider job we're after telling you now. We're telling the people now, floating, seeing what the public sort of interest is towards this. Public should be furious about the introduction of, or I should say reintroduction and speculation of reintroduction of restrictions here in this country. It should be furious. Medical profession should be up in arms. But see, what it's about is, and what they've catered to and what they have nurtured is this lifestyle of, I'm in the medical profession. I don't have to deal with 60 people a day. I only have to deal with 4. Well, that's great. I'm getting paid the same. Sure, I'll do less. That's great. And that's the type of thing that they've nurtured. And like I said, if you sat down with this fella and had a reasonable conversation, and now, I mean, some people in the chat, particularly Satirical Soldier, will be like, you cannot have a reasonable conversation with this guy. But I have had it with people, and particularly the older generation, don't want to know. And I'm like, okay, hang on here for a second. Just time out for a second. Were you not told about formaldehyde? Remember that one? Now, I could be saying that incorrectly as well too. Anyone that wants to pick me up on that or the saying of that, no problem at all. Were you not told about that and the issues that happened there? Were you then also not shocked then to find out what happened with the church and what the church was covering up and knowingly doing that too? Because here's the thing. As I said, faith in God and Jesus, all-time high. Institution, on the other hand, has to be very seriously looked at. And people should be in prison. Because if they knew about that, they should be in prison. So I'm happy to do that. But you will talk to people, and again, like I said as well too, about the fella that messaged me during the week, unable to comprehend what is happening, and a very low percentage of the world that hold complete power over multiple institutions can't comprehend it because too blind to see. This is what it's all about. Showing people. And fair play to Derek Bloig. But you look at the likes of this here as well, I think this is great. Sinn Féin, Fianna Fáil, Green Party, Fine Gael, they're all in the same boat. All in the same boat. And this guy is out there going, oh my God. Seriously, dude. Derek, if you're out there listening, or anybody knows Derek, challenge this immediately, and challenge this very much so, I would say, legally, because this is a spurious claim and it is an incorrect claim, in my opinion. And not only that, then, everything that's stated here are very fair. And this is the thing, and Derek would 100% agree with me on this one. When you're talking about uncapped and unvetted immigration, if I was a Nigerian living in Nigeria and this was happening here, and I was giving out about this, there'd be worldwide support for it. Didn't they ban foreign models and voice actors there? Not a peep about that. Not a peep. Not istophobic about them at all. No, nothing at all. What about the Christians that are being attacked in Nigeria and more than attacked? What about that? Nothing being said about that. So we want to play the game. I play the game, no problem. And the thing is, all of these stories have come out over the last number of years, and because of the internet, it's become clearer. Let's keep going. Drinking water when with fluoride in it has no effect on a child's brain development, says new study. Cast doubt over that one. I would cast severe doubt now. And like I said about the Wi-Fi situation last week, I was like, they're telling you that the Wi-Fi is killed. You've got to look at it and say to yourself, well, there's a one that I've reshared here on Gab. There's one telling you about Gab. It's very good information. Bank of America's third largest stakeholder is this gang here. This gang and Bank of America are in the forum, along with PayPal, who began freezing 2,500 of account holder money for misinformation. Now, PayPal had to backpedal on that one because people said, what's going on? All right, we're not going to use that anymore. We're going to use a different app now. And Gab actually has one now called Gab Pay. Now, I'm going to look seriously into that one too, by the way, because obviously if I can take my business elsewhere, no problem at all, because there are a number of GDPR issues as well with relation to this place, allegedly, speculatively, we'll say, on that. Now, look at this. I'm not going to say much here. I'm just going to look through it. Bank of America, PayPal. Don't forget about Chase, who just cancelled Kanye West from using their bank. They care so much about the black people, don't they, as well, that Kanye comes out and says very accurate things that immediately they go, cancel. Kanye West, that's a fella who did a song called Jesus Walks With Me, wasn't it? Yeah. Big faith in Jesus he has, yeah. And this is the way they decided to go at him. Not only that then, but was on Tucker Carlson and was like, hey, they decided to try and use my wife to try and get me to say things. And he's like, I knew something was up here. And then he was talking about vernacular and how people talk. I thought it was fascinating. It's a fascinating watch. And I was actually talking about that with a couple of friends of mine. And there's a couple of women present. And they were saying, oh, he's a nut. And I said, is he? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, watch the YouTube videos of him there when he's talking and see if you think he's a nutcase. Because the Kardashians have portrayed him as a nutcase. The media have portrayed him as a nutcase. When you see him talking, and all of them said the same thing, they came back and said, he's actually very articulate and he made some wonderful points. And I said, absolutely he did. The media tried to make him out to be a stalker when he bought the house next door to Kim Kardashian so he could see his kids. This is a woman that was going off and knocking about with Pete Davidson, a fella who was allegedly a comedian, a fella that got tattoos of him on himself of Kanye West kids' names. Freak behavior. And Kanye West was made out to be the weirdo. Like, you're living in a different world here. Chase, CEO, COO, CFO, Head of Corporate Responsibility. Of the 53, now this is the one that's mind-blowing to me, guys. Of the 53 senior executives of the major American banks, trade agencies, and regulatory agencies, 36 have spouses or work directly towards interest here. This is a numerical representation of 68%. There are approximately 2% of the US population. Therefore, spouses and these people are overrepresented among the senior executives of the major American banks, trade agencies, and regulatory agencies by a factor of 34 times, excuse me. And Kanye West was the one who said, "Who do you think invented candles? Candle? Who do you think invented cancel culture?" Talking like Mike Tyson. Who do you think invented cancel culture? Very clear and easy to see. You've got this here. This is another fantastic one as well. Well documents everything that's going on over the last number of years. The Las Vegas one was the biggest one for me. I was just like, I remember hearing about that a couple of years ago, and I was like, hurricane proof. I'm someone that's been to Las Vegas, by the way, and they actually detail this. And when you've been there, hurricane proof windows. But this dude was able to take a window off on his own. He was able to cart up loads of stuff on his own. Seems unlikely. Kanye West here. We'll just have a look. Kanye West has been an absolute red pill because, again, the same people that want to call you an istaphobe are looking at me going, Kanye West is based here. He's absolutely 100% correct. I love what he's saying. Oh my God, hang on here for a second. He's right. He's talking about boy large mansions as well, to a group that caused $2 billion worth of damage and multiple people passing on. And he's like, that was all a scam. And then he puts something on his back there with White Lives Matter, and they're like, you can't say that. Why not? And then accurately goes on Tucker Carlson and is like, hey, 50% of black passing is true what these people want to do with the likes of the 8th here in this country. And they're doing it over there. Planned Parenthood. Little nice name on it. And they put them into these communities. People need to look at that. And it's the same here in Ireland. You've got people, and I know people that have been in this situation, Irish people that go, I was on a night out and this happened and all that. Years ago, you'd have just gotten on with it and you probably would have made a bit of a life out of it with a person. Now they're getting rid. But everyone that's been carted in are having 4 and 5. So you're going to outnumber people at some stage. And that's the way that they're going towards. Why do you think there's so much vehement vitriol towards people? Like I said, it's very small. And it happens in like entertainment. As I said before, you've got Hawkman, a character who's a white character that they decided to cast Aldous Hodge, a black man, in the role. And as I said before, and when that actually came out, I said it in the video. I said, if this fella is playing Hawkman, but he's playing a different character, not Carter Hall or Qatar Hall as he's calling the comics, that's cool. No problem. But if he's Carter Hall and Qatar Hall, I have a problem because that's not what the character looks like. And what did they do? They called him Carter Hall, Qatar Hall. He's not what the character looks like. So do what you want with a mantle, but don't mess around with the character. And that's what you did. JP Morgan kept Jeffrey as a client despite internal warnings. This is the type of stuff you show. So I'm turning into Mike Tyson as long as this show is going on. JP Morgan Chase ends its banking relationship with Kanye West because he told the truth. Huh? What do you think about that? As Kanye West would say, huh? So what do you think about that? That's 2 very much so accurate articles as to what went on, and is letting you know where these people are at and where these people are at then with the truth coming out. And again, the most famous, I would say arguably the most famous black man in the world. And this is what they did. But this guy over here, not to worry about that. You won't do anything about that. It's becoming clearer and clearer and clearer for people. You've got this here. Sarah Silverman, another one. This is a woman, by the way, that recently had a bit of a breakdown on Twitter and was like, maybe America should divorce and maybe blue states should just break up and live on their own, and red states should live on their own. And everyone on the red state side went, terms are acceptable. Happy days. The Hodge twins. I like them. I think they're fantastic. They were like, yeah, we'll do that, 100%. And then the lefties went, well, hang on here for a second. But this girl is another girl as well too. You know, I would say above average in attraction. Pair of milkers on this one, you know. And this one here is, she must be 40 odd plus now, I think, at the moment, and is unhappy because didn't settle down, no kids or anything like that. And this is the type of vitriol that's coming out here. Kanye threatened them yesterday on Twitter, and it's not even trending. Why do mostly only speak up against this? The silence is so loud. That's what you said. That's what you said, though. How come you're still running around the circuits? You know what I mean? See, this is where tolerance has gotten people. And the tolerance of America has actually affected the entire world. because of the angst gone, actually, no, we're not dealing with that. Things wouldn't be as bad as they are because everyone else wouldn't have seen the gap in America and the opportunity. It's getting a shorter run here in Ireland, I do believe, because Irish people by and large haven't bought into this. You've got a couple that have, and a couple of people that are interested in silencing other people, but that's the point in time that you get louder. I've gotten so loud with people that people are like, oh, I'm not even saying anything controversial to this fella anymore. And when I say controversial, they know when things are stupid and they won't say it to me anymore because I'm like, hey, listen, that's ridiculous. So you've got this here. But, of course, no problem. This is a big issue, though, what Kanye said. Says it all, doesn't it? This is what Kanye said. I'll have a look through it. Quick swig there. I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going, the funny thing is I actually can't be this because black people are actually also, you have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone whoever opposes your agenda. Out in force, and it's awesome to see. It's absolutely awesome to see. Brother Augustine says, whether Kanye gets banned from everything or not, the Overton window has shifted. Imagine if Kanye was on Gab, by the way. Andrew Torber was straight out with that and was like, Kanye, we've reserved the handle for you here on Gab. I'm like, get him on. Get him on, quick. There's no room for dissidents in the public discourse. If you're going to push against the degeneracy of our culture, you can't be too scared to name the most influential group involved. None of our saints or apostles were afraid of this topic. We have canons that address it as well. So this is it. You have to look back at it all, and you have to look at, Jesus, for example, as well, too, banishing the bankers from the likes of the temples. These are all things that happened, and they are in our scriptures. And you've got to look at those and say to yourself, well, apply them to now and see that Jesus' teachings were very important. And ultimately what happened to Jesus as well, too, which is why these people got very upset at Mel Gibson with the Passion of the Christ, because Mel Gibson accurately reflected what happened in the Bible and in the scripture and portrayed them the way they should be. Now, let's not forget that Mel Gibson himself, along with Vigano, have come out and said that when Mel Gibson brought, and Mel had said this himself, when he brought the Passion of the Christ to the Vatican, there were clergy there, high-ranking clergy, that turned their backs on him, and multiple of them. And not only that, then, he said Vigano was one of the only that welcomed them and said, what a job you've done, my son, and were absolutely thrilled to see it. But he said the majority of them didn't want to know. Why wouldn't you? Strange, isn't it? Rob Roos, MEP, says, I joined Tucker Carlson to discuss one of the greatest scandals of our time. Passports and mandates place millions of people outside society, but there was no evidence that Voldemort would even stop the transmission. This should have massive political consequences. It should not only have massive political consequences, but it should be absolutely full steam trials for crimes against humanity. And all of these people need to be on them. This is why it's important to keep an eye on who these people are and where they're going. They think that they're going to slink off into different jobs and hide around different places. That's not going to happen. This is why you're seeing the rats leaving the sinking ship, and why you've seen a new cast as such be implemented before this has happened, so that they can have a fresh new look and tone. That's what Hollywood does. Oh, we've brought in this other actor because that previous actor was problematic or not liked by the crowd, so we brought in this new actor instead. Very clear. Enoch Burke wants to sue Sunday Independent over alleged defamatory article. Went through that one. I just told you it's fake news. Here's the rubble one as well. New Zealand outlines plans to attack livestock, burps and farts. Florida require all patients to be informed of cardiac complications before they receive this, and kids and men under 40 told that state recommends against it. Will this finally prompt the FDA and CDC to debate safety? Again, as I said to you, it's very interesting stuff that's happening now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the chat because I'm aware now that I'm hitting the 2-hour mark. I'm probably above it now at this stage, or I'm very close to it at the very least. We'll get back onto the other stream side now. And we're at the 149 mark. So as I said, I want to get through this so that I'm getting a lot of information into people and letting them know what's going on and keeping it condensed, because I know for people 4 hours, 3 hours is a very long time. Mr. Deegan says, Ninja evening, mate. Good to see it. Derek Mann says, good to see all the great folks here. Jimmy Ainscough is in here as well. Good evening to you. Tony Lynch is in here. Anne Monaghan's in here. Derek Mann says 37 days for contempt of court. Absolutely disgusting. Lockdown part 2 coming. Smudger BKB says they want to take our voice. It's the only thing we're born with. Absolutely. Totally agree with you on that one. Let's keep saying that. Cashin the Lucas says I heard they moved him because he was 90 inmates. Don't know if true or not. Fake news on that one there. Absolutely fake news on that. And I called it a couple of days ago. I was just like, that's fake news. And then next of all, they were like, he looks like he's going to sue them. You got Calvin in here as well. Calvin Canny says all this does is just tells us what we know, and I feel holds us back from doing something more on the street as far as Enoch Burke is concerned. He's been made an example of. Absolutely, he's been made an example of 100%. Amon says there are 2 events in life that can't be rerun. It's birth and passing. That was taken away from so many. 100%. Absolutely 100%. Let's keep going. Kevin Dalton says just in from workhouse things, folks. Good. Hope all's well with you. Let's keep going. Borova 1014 says base ninja. 00 Red Boar says evening ninja. Good to see you here. Good to see you here. Host in here. Point Man says hello, folks. Happy Friday. Have a good one. You too. Gina Bedell says evening all. We're just catching up there on the chat there. By the way, as well, to anybody that wants to check out at this point in time with the news section or anything like that, the news section's over. So if this is going through the chat now, just to let everybody know. Rick O'Shea says Jamie Lee Curtis daughter came out as a transformer. Women in disguise. Looks like Bulldog chewing a wasp. Kanye's working for them. I'm not so sure. I think he's broken away from it a lot now, to be fair, especially what's happened in the last couple of days. Enjoy who's up for another night out. Feels like the Stone Age since I joined in live. Hope all as well. Mr. KF, never give up, says I heard adverts and news talk normalising heart attacks and strokes for young people. It's absolutely disgusting. You've got, by the way, I've seen their reasoning on YouTube where I think the HSA are pointing out there, you want to keep a world for the future. You should be concerned about the climate. I broke my heart laughing. I was like, look at this absolute nonsense. Tony Lynch says, why is there a Chinese police station in Ireland? Sean Max says, Robbie Coltrane passed after short illness. They're saying he's sick for 2 years, though they were saying that now, so I'm not sure on that one. But again, very strange. Meatloaf, the same. Meatloaf is not talked about at all either. I think that's interesting. Two fingers up there. Peace signs. Calvin Canny says, US billionaires are your friends. No one ever asked Trump why he has a donate button on his website when he said he's worth 10 billion. But you can trust billionaires, not a bother, just like Elon Musk. Yeah, the billionaires are definitely in on an awful lot of what's happening here for sure. Rick O'Shea says, Ordan O'Neill from Portadown, fitness instructor, passed away suddenly Wednesday, 36 for Voldemort Centre closed after man passed suddenly straight after. Haven't heard about that one at all, but again, these things are happening for sure. Absolutely happening. Let's have a look now through the chat there. 72 is not that old now. Sean Max says Brian Kerr is a twat. That's very funny. Very funny indeed. Let's keep going. Blue Ground 1 says Klopp can give medical advice and promote the Dibidaru, but a former player can't give his opinion on Klopp's team. Yeah, Klopp is again running the same sort of mantra as the old way of Germany. He looks very haggard, by the way, as well too. Klopp does, doesn't he not? Let's have a look now through this. We've got that there. 20 fin, get that cuppa down, you ninja. Did you see? I've seen someone there talking about Michelle O'Neill. Did you see a DUP member was suspended for 3 months there for telling her to get back in her kennel? And they were like, it's misogynistic. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, the big bold Sinn Féin there up in the north have got a DUP member suspended for 3 months for saying something. Again, like I say, every single time, you know, every single time these things happen. Let's have a look. Kevin McMahon is tracking Mary Lou's movements. I'm not going to say that because I could get someone could say, oh, looking after and telling people where to go. Anyway, Derek McMahon says, well, we got Rodimus Prime. Yeah, Rodimus Prime, I like that. I actually like Rodimus Prime, I really did. But anyway, some people didn't. Kevin McMahon says Rambo had no time for two-faced traitors or doorboards. Yep. Sheepdog in here. Good evening, Ninja Night in chat. Kelly Shannon says amen. Good to see you here. What did they say? Flyers are now passing like athletes, isn't it? It's not that people are dropping like flyers. Flyers are dropping like athletes nowadays. Oh, stuff. Let's have a look now. Let's keep going. Catherine O'Connell says they can run, they can't always. Absolutely. Stephen Ron says, oh my God, they are trying to normalise that myocarditis thing now in Coronation Street. The footballer in it, the athlete had a seizure and was rushed to hospital and employed that was not abnormal. Rick O'Shea's my mate Auntie collapsed and passed last week in the house. Only the week before she was complaining of the Voldemort and how she never felt right since taking her only to 61. Alan Bourne says, good evening, Ninja, good evening all. Let's have a look. Stephen Round says, I know at least 3 women in their 50s who are family and friends, and all 3 of them got Voldemort, and within months got diagnosed with the big C, the real big C, and passed. True story. That's unbelievable. Yeah, Blue Ground 1 if I was Dibber to do it, I'd be worried about it. Catherine Collins says, Alex Jones, Alex Belfield, court case, it's a game, free speech block. I totally agree. Totally agree on that one. Leanne Curtis in here says, good evening, Ninja, all. Hope you're all well. Good to see you here. Let's have a look now at the chat. Let's keep going. Hang on there for a second. Point man's at sending me something there. What's he saying? He's sending me memes. Hang on. Anyway, we'll keep going. Live show, you know how it is, guys. Get distracted. Squirrel. I like the fact that you put in the at Ninja Night, guys. That's really helping out as well, by the way. Yeah, a lot of people unhappy about the Fabio D situation. Video coming on that one, guys, as well, because I mean that fella now has ground my gears now a number of times. Did anyone ever see the video, by the way, that he did? And John Connors was upset about a word that Fabio used and went on a bit of a rant, bit of a tirade, you know. And because these people all run the same circles as well, Fabio made an apology. But what he did was, in my opinion, again, this is only opinion, speculatively, allegedly, used the word multiple times in the apology. And I think they've taken the mick out of Connors. And Connors then was like, oh, fair play to you know for actually apologising about that. It's like, what a moron. He's just used the word multiple times there to your face again. Ninja Night, they pour hundreds of billions through Ireland and paid SFA. Guardian of all the papers had an article on Microsoft's tax affairs. Tax is very much so becoming something that people are looking at. I've seen someone talking about Ryder there. Let's have a look. I've seen Ryder there for a second. I was like, someone talking about Ghost Rider there. I'm like, I don't know what's happening here. Anyway, let's keep going through this. I've seen Stephen around there talking about the cakes. Yeah, the cake situation where but that's where it all stems from. The same group that wants you to bake the cake were the same people that were like, nah, don't let you get into places like restaurants or gyms or anything like that, or cinemas, because you don't have something. Okay, well, you want to play that game for your head? No worries. What about those 2 drag performers in the space of 2 or 3 days there? 2 different countries now, mind you, but 2 of them Gonskis. Weird that, isn't it? None of you talking about that now, is there? Not blowing smoke, but your outfit must be very proud. You're a great young fella. Ninja Knight says, Sheepdog, thanks very much. No, absolute legend. I'm very, very happy and very thankful to have fantastic parents in me mum and dad. Absolutely 100%. Let's keep going on this here. The people changing, the Klaus has changed his profile picture to a lovely tricolour and shamrock. I really like that. I think that's great to see. Has anyone else seen the posters that are up and around there now as well too about this United Ireland thing? It's a who's who. I think it's happening in the tree. Is it happening in the Tree Arena? It's a who's who of people that are like Sinn Féin, I think it is. Matt Cooper is one. Denise Choilet is on it. As soon as I saw that name, I was like, listen, you're joking me here. Niall O'Hara says, Ninja, I'm a bit behind, but in regards to the Donegal incident, the man who fitted the gas should have been arrested if it was his faulty work that caused the accident. That's a big question, isn't it? Yeah. So whoever's involved in it, you would imagine they'd been arrested by now, wouldn't you? If there's some sort of incompetence, but doesn't seem to be, is there? But the fella who decided not to use the incorrect pronoun, jail for him, though. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying about the world becoming upside down and more people starting to go, hang on here for a sec. Things like that, you know. Dude that's involved in the gas there. Anybody know who it is? No. But the teacher who decided not to use an incorrect pronoun, jail for him. Oh, but it's because he decided against the court order. Listen, you're the same person that would have cheered on the people pulling Rosa Parks off the bus. You know what I'm saying? Stephen Round says, my friend was told by the welfare yesterday that she couldn't be seen as Thursday as after 2. Hang on here for a second. My friend was told by the welfare yesterday she couldn't be seen as Thursday after 2 is Ukrainians only. Ninja, you need to let Philip know about this. Well, that's very interesting. Get in touch with Philip as well, too, though. Don't be afraid to get in touch with Philip about that. Philip's always very happy to let people hit him up with DMs and let them know about what's going on, you know. That's the thing I always try to bring up to dismiss the moon landing ninja. Phone America from the moon. Yeah, I mean, like, my outflow was like, listen. Listen. They can ring the moon, but I can't ring you from Galway. I can't ring you from the back arse of this own country, no. Derek Man says, lol, Ninja has transformed. Transformers, men in disguise. I seen, do you know what sickened me a while ago? And because I love Transformers, obviously, when I say that, Autobots and Decepticons, not these weirdos. But I seen someone that had like the Transformer symbol and it was like trans rights, and I was just livid. I was like, that is disgraceful. Anyway, oh my God, you don't believe in trans rights? Listen, you have the same rights as you and me, okay? You have them, all right? And I don't know what else you're looking for. You're looking for special treatment and preferential treatment is actually what you're looking for. And you're looking for accolades and accolades towards you for doing what you've done, which I think is absolutely unreasonable. I also think if I went into the doctor and told him, listen, I've no use for this left arm of mine here, the doctor would say, right, I'm going to commit you now to the nearest Arkham Asylum. And he'd be right to do so. You know, and enjoy. Pyrrhus has the same cognitive. I won't go too far into that there. Tamil the Mahoyed, again, butchering that word I am. The guys are talking about there in the chat. You're right to do so. Let's have a look here. Talking about that's the sound. Let's have a look. Let's make sure that we're all going on this here. Seven has spent a career mocking and ridiculing Christianity and traditional Americans, especially Southerners. Yep. Sean Max is John Mayen, great Western actor. Absolute legend. Let's keep going here. Let's have a look now. Keep going. Jimmy Ainscoff says, grand now. How are you, Leanne? Good to see you here. Absolutely. Sparky Malarkey, anybody on here dumb enough to get the arm spear? Oh, stop. Absolute legends. Saints and Scholar says, Michael D sends you a card when you turn 100 a garment. Oh, I'm not going out with that one. I'm not keeping that one up. Let's keep going here now through the chat. Sparky Malarkey says, Nixon was on a landline talking to the astronauts. Absolutely. Absolutely. Imagine that. And the fact that they put it into the Transformers movie, I was like, that is very interesting. I think that is very interesting that they put that in. I think Michael Bay was absolutely 100% slipping that in there. Some of the stuff that he did historically in those movies when he's talking about even World War II, that was fantastic because it does sort of make you look at it and go, that's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting to me that his movies revolve particularly around historical aspects and places in time that a lot of people, I think now, especially after the last number of months, probably have questions about, and they really should at this stage of the game. Rick O'Shea says they're making it mandatory for the army to take the Voldemort. Haven't heard about that, but definitely heard about the Yanks, that the Yanks were going to be doing something like that now, you know. But I think they've reversed it recently, and they're probably saying that there was going to be a large dropout of people. But penny for the thoughts of the people within the military there in America. I know when I seen Jocko Willink on Joe Rogan that Jocko Willink, I'm sure now, has had a massive awakening too, because this is a guy that was a Navy SEAL that went in and he decided to take out a place there over, obviously, as well, across the Middle East, and has looked at it just basically been handed back over to the bad guys. And he's looking at it going, like, we lost people on that mission there and copious amounts of people over the years. What was that all for? And that's happened. And then all of the stuff and the way the military's been treated for the last number of years. I mean, look at the inauguration, people sleeping in car parks and that. And then they're telling you that the other side of the bad guys says it all. The Voldemort is mandatory in the army in Ireland's a satirical soldier. Well, you know, it wouldn't be something that I'd be into whatsoever, and definitely wouldn't be something that I would advocate for people. But like a lot of people are saying in the chat there, once the lefties are gone with the Voldemort, keep going, take more. Take as much as possible, because what's happening is it's constantly coming out with the articles that are out there, like from Gateway Pundit and in EU commissions now, that they're like, well, didn't stop the transmission of it. Okay, but that's what you told people it would do. Says to me an awful lot, doesn't it? So The chat having a good laugh there. Absolutely brilliant there is. So that's the story anyway this week, lads. We're leaving it at that now. And like to say to you again, the 2 hour mark seems to be a nice little sweet spot, which I think is great. I think it's important as well too, so that people get the information out there and let each other know what's happening in the world and indeed in Ireland and the wider world. There's a massive shift in public opinion, and I think as well, talking to an awful lot of people in the last week or so, that they aren't on for round 2 of this locking down nonsense, because when they've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these things and they're saying, hang on here, why do I have to put the mask back on? You've irritated those people. Not only that then, but you've seen the athletes that have been collapsing around the world, and that's all happened the last year. Of course, if you're someone that has the mentality of someone that's obviously not very articulate or intelligent or high IQ, you probably think that that's perfectly normal and you think that's fine. Like I said earlier on, there's a lot of people that are out there that are going, take more. You just speed that up there, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what a lot of people are doing now. We try to warn people, and that's all you can do. You can say to people, listen, I don't agree with you. And my viewpoint is that I think everybody should have the right to choose. I do think that people shouldn't be discriminated against, which I absolutely do and wholeheartedly believe. But it seems strange to me that the people that are all anti-discriminatory are the very ones that are happy to discriminate against people because they don't share the same beliefs or viewpoints. If you're a moron, I think you should have the rights, civil liberties and freedoms the same as I do, but you're still a moron, and that's okay. The other side of the game is because you possess obviously a very low intellect, is that you want me and other people that possess a much higher intellect than you to suffer because you're a moron. So people have a bit of a problem with that, and I fully agree with them, and I totally understand that as well. So let's hear Satirical Soldier says, thanks Ninja, fair play guys, enjoy the rest of your night. Very much so, appreciate on that one there now, Satirical Soldier. Now, you've done fantastic work there, Satirical Soldier. You're an absolute ledge, man. Absolute ledge. And it's great to see the different videos that are coming out from you. And again, Philip Dwyer, Dave Cullen, Grant Torino, and various other people that are out there that have been doing great stuff there. Look after yourselves, guys. Have a good weekend. Have a blessed weekend. God bless you. Look after yourselves. Look after your family. Enjoy life, which is very important. That's exactly what you need to do. And prepare for what's coming. What's coming is that they want to go to round 2 with this. They have the NGO weirdos that are out there that want to continue this on. They have the NGO weirdos that are out there. And indeed, people that are just not really all there on their side. And you have to keep remembering that when these people that are not really all there are telling you you're this and that, pay no heed to them, laugh at them, mock them, have a good time. Look after yourselves, guys. Talk to you. Good luck.